20-year-old administrative assistant Janine Barnard is suing her twin sister, administrative assistant Jennifer Barnard, for unpaid loans, forgery, and for an outstanding cell phone bill.
All rise.
Now, this is case number 180 on the calendar, the matter of Barnard versus Barnard. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Twin sisters that don't get along. That's what we have here. Have you always not gotten along?
No.
When did you stop getting along?
Well, when she got back from Puerto Rico.
Listen, I don't know when that was.
2 months ago.
So prior to 2 months ago, you got along just fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
So for 30 years, you got along?
No. No, we didn't get along. We fought before because this has happened in the past before.
What's your first name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Which one of you came out of the womb first?
Me. She did.
And your name?
Janine.
Janine. So Janine is your older sister?
Yes.
How many minutes?
By 12 minutes.
Have either of you ever been married?
No.
What do you do for a living?
I'm administrative assistant.
And you?
Administrative assistant.
Do you work at the same place?
No.
And you don't live together?
No. No, we do not.
This is your boyfriend?
Yes.
What does he do for a living?
He's a labor worker.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Yep.
What does he do?
He's not working right now. He's injured.
What's the nature of his injury?
He has a bad knee right now.
So you're supporting the household?
No, I live at home. She's lying. She's paying his rent. She lives.
That's her business. Who do you live with?
My parents.
And you don't?
No.
You live with a boyfriend?
Yes. I've lived on my own for 9 years.
Okay. So now we have a little bit of the background. We have twins, the older twin by 12 minutes?
Yes.
And your kid's sister?
That's correct.
According to your complaint, you loaned your kid's sister $300 because she was behind in rent.
I loaned her $180 for the rent itself.
And what was the other money for?
Money that I just lent her for food, for sneakers, for clothing, because...
Was it all at one time that you lent her this money?
No, it was not at all at one time, no.
Over what period of time did you give her this $300?
I'd say probably it was a 4-month period.
Miss Barnard?
Yes.
Forget it. Did you give her one large lump sum of money?
I gave her $180 so she could move out of her apartment. No, I paid that, and the only person that helped me move was my brother, and it was on his credit card.
Just a second. She says she gave you $180. You're saying that that's not true?
Yes, that's not true.
When did you move?
I moved in February.
Tell me about when your sister asked you for this loan.
Well, she was trying to move. She owed back rent, so I lent her the money so she could get the money. Then I rented a U-Haul on the 16th for her so she could move.
Just a second. Is this $180 that you gave her in cash, or is that including...
It was cash because I didn't know I would have to give a money order to my sister to have her pay me back.
Do you have any proof that on or around the 16th of February you took $180 out of a bank or out of a credit card or from an ATM?
Yes, yeah.
Let me see it.
I don't have my bank statement on me. I go to the ATM and withdraw money out. I don't have it on me right this second. But
this second is what counts.
I understand that.
All right. Now I want you to tell me about the other part of your lawsuit, which has to do with a cell phone or a phone bill that you say you had absolutely nothing to do with.
Yeah. Back in a few months ago, I went to try to purchase a cell phone, and they said that I owe them $319.27
You owe them?
Yep, the phone company.
And did you say, I don't have this phone number?
Yeah, I didn't have any recollection of it at all. I told them it wasn't me, and I had to look into it and call the fraud department at the phone company to research it.
And what happened when you researched it? What did you
I researched it. I asked them for a copy of the agreement that was signed to get the phone, and I have it right here. This was in 1994, 10 years ago. And I have no recollection of it. I didn't sign anything.
Recollection.
I didn't sign it, excuse me, recollection. And it's clearly that the signature, the A's above, the A's on the printing above is different from the A in the signature print. Next to her, the signature, the A's are clearly different.
This is from 1994. This is actually 10 years ago. I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah, well, because I tried to get a cell phone, and they said that I have to owe the money. I actually got copies of the bills stating the forwarding address from the Quincy address to a Mattapan address, which is her boyfriend, Maurice Sherman Hines.
This is Maurice?
Yes, it is.
Maurice, stand up here a second. Your girlfriend's Jennifer, is that right?
Yes.
Did Jennifer ever get you a cell phone?
No.
Did Janine ever get you a cell phone?
Yes.
When did Janine get you a cell phone?
About 10 years ago.
She says that $319 is owed from an old phone. Clearly the phone that you say she got for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you acknowledge that this phone was the phone that the plaintiff bought for you in 1994, and you owe on that phone $319.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why don't you pay it?
Haven't had no money to pay it, and she just brought it up to me a couple of weeks ago.
What do you do for a living?
I work at Labor Ready.
Labor Ready?
Yes.
That means that you go...
And do hard work.
You
Whatever
live
needs to be
together?
done. No.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
One.
With whom?
Jennifer.
You had to think about that? Is this Jennifer or another Jennifer?
This is Jennifer right here.
This Jennifer.
Yes.
How old is this child that you have with Jennifer?
9.
Costa Rica. Do you know that I've heard good things about Costa Rica? That they have a very large American population in Costa Rica. Let's go back for a second. You've been together 10 years. You have a 9-year-old child. Is there any reason why you're not married?
Never thought about it.
What?
Never thought about it.
Never thought about it. You have a mother and father,
Yes.
Jennifer?
Mm-hmm.
How long have they been married?
Still married.
Well, not still married. How long is a number?
God, like 50 years,
50 years.
maybe 45 years.
So that you know about the concept of marriage.
Yes. And I don't want to get married right now.
Wha-
Why? I just don't want to.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That might
That's
be
a big commitment. I'm not...
No, well, certainly.
I mean...
Certainly, just a sec. Bird, please, Bird. Bird,
What?
certainly, having a child is more like getting a pet goldfish. That is not a commitment. But getting married certainly is a commitment that one wouldn't want to think about after 9 years of, or 10 years
true.
of living
You
together.
have a point.
How long have we been doing this?
How long have we been doing this? A long time, 25 years?
And how many times have we heard, I'm
This-
not ready for a commitment?
I'm not ready for a commitment, you know, and when the kid is graduating from elementary school, maybe we'll think about the
Right.
commitment of marriage.
College, maybe.
College, maybe.
We've been
Yeah,
together
rugby
off
college,
and on,
maybe.
not
Costa Rica,
straight.
maybe.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
She saw a ring that she liked, and she said, I really like that ring. Would you buy it for me? And you said, I'll only buy it for you if you really love me. And she said, I really love you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janine Barnard says her twin sister, Jennifer Barnard, used her information to set up a cell phone account.
You've had 10 years to pay the $319. So let me explain this to you, Miss Jennifer. Mr. Wonderful over here may not be prepared to make a commitment, and you may not be prepared to make a commitment to each other, even for the sake of your child. Do you understand? That's
Yes.
your business. I can't clear up the world one case at a time. But I can tell you this. You are going to pay that $319 for the phone bill that you owe. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
And if you don't want to pay, Jennifer is going to pay it to her on your behalf. And then Jennifer can get the money back from you. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
That doesn't sound unreasonable, does it?
No, not at all.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $319. Get out of here.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I agreed with what Judge Judy said.
It's bogus. It's 10 years old.
He just didn't know that he owed the money, and she could have just asked him out for it.
And she brought the phone for me out of the kindness of her heart.
Because she...
Construction worker Thomas Schmerzel is suing his neighbors, 20-year-old student Charisse Baucom and her father Mike Baucom, for having him falsely arrested. Charisse is countersuing, claiming Thomas threatened to kill her.
Now, this is case number 293 on the calendar in the matter of Schmerzel versus Baucom. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Schmerzel, the defendants live in close proximity to where you do. I don't know whether they're immediate neighbors or not. But according to your complaint, you were having a big party. And the party was in the afternoon. On what date was this event?
I don't know the exact date, but I know it was a Saturday.
We have a lot of Saturdays every year, sir. Could I have a month or a year or something that would be more definitive?
Okay, let me just look in this paper. It says...
The questions are going to get harder, Mr. Schmerzel.
Okay. Looks like the 21st of August.
And you and friends, how many friends did you have at this party?
20, 25 maybe?
Was this gentleman one of those people?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he a relative of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your
Brother.
brother? At some point, this young lady came to your home and asked if you could turn down the music. Are your hands in your pocket, sir?
Yeah.
Because the music was loud. At some point, the police came and arrested you. You are suing both this young lady and her father for having you falsely arrested and also for embarrassing you because as a result of this false arrest, there was an article published in the local paper about you that was very embarrassing. Ms. Balcom and her father said everything that they told the police when they called to complain about you was true, that you did in fact threaten her, and that Ms. Balcom is suing for emotional distress. Her emotional distress is she's afraid of you. She's afraid because of what happened, you're going to come back and hurt her. That's, we're going to get to that in a minute. Anyway, okay. August 21st, 2003. What kind of a party was it, Mr. Schmerzel?
Family outing at my house. We have 2.5 acres together. I mean, I do and they do too.
Okay. And what kind of music was playing?
Country music.
Was it loud?
Probably so, yeah.
And what happened when Miss Balcom came to your house? Did she see you?
Yeah, she came up to me first.
And what did she say to you?
She said, Tom, could we turn the music down a little bit, you know, because I'm studying. And I just looked at her and says, you gotta be kidding me, girl. It's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No, I've done this, known their family ever since, I've been out there since 78. I just said, no, I'm not gonna turn my music down. It's not that bad. And she was leaving, and then somebody said something to Mike's daughter.
What did they say to you?
They called me a...
Well, when she came up to the house, was she yelling? I mean, you weren't yelling when she said, she said just, Tom, could you turn down the music, right?
Yeah.
And how far, just answer my questions. How far was she, do me a favor, Bird, would you put him outside until I'm ready to call him as a witness?
Step out.
Thank you, Bert. He was slouching.
Definitely.
It was an attitude slouch. You've seen that slouch before?
Oh, yes, many times.
We'll adjust it. So she came up to you very quiet. She was quiet. She said, Tom, I'm studying. Now, when you responded to her, did you respond to her in the same tone as she spoke to you?
Normal talking tone, like...
Is that right?
Yes.
So how come these other people were involved in the discussion?
They heard her. I mean, it's not like it's... You
She wasn't screaming or anything.
No, none of us were screaming, but you could hear
Well,
it.
so then you would say, Mr. Schmerzel, that the people who called her a name were being rude.
No.
No? What would you think they were being? Stupid?
She was come over here complaining, and there was nothing really to complain about.
Sure there was. The music was loud enough for her to hear it, and she said she was studying. She didn't come over and scream at you. She didn't call the police. She came over quietly and asked you very politely if you could turn down the music. Now, you may feel as if you have the right to play music as loud as you like, right? And so that's an issue. But nobody has the right to call her a name. I mean, they have a right to call her a name, but they would either be stupid if they did, or they would be aggressive if they did, or they would be drunk if they did. Now, which was it?
I don't know if anybody called her a name. All I know is...
Trust me, they called her a name. I want you to start with that premise, Mr. Schmerzel. They called her a name. Okay. So were they stupid? Or were they drunk?
Probably stupid if they did it that way.
How much had you had to drink in the 2.5 hours that your party was going?
I think the whole night, because I got arrested probably...
Not night, day.
Maybe on my second beer.
Okay.
Something like that.
Maybe your third?
No.
Maybe your first,
Could have been the first.
but certainly not your third.
Because I only had like 3 beers the whole day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I opened the door, and he said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you.
Don't get upset. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you.
And later,
He hates my guts.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas Schmersel says he was arrested because of false complaints made by his neighbors. Charisse Baucom claims Thomas threatened to kill her.
Okay, so these people called you a name, and you went home.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do?
I called the police department, the Poway Police Department.
And what did you say to them?
I told them that the neighbor was disturbing, his stereo was incredibly loud, and if they could do anything about it. And they said, yes, we can come over and ask him to turn it down.
And that's what they did?
And that's what they did. They came
Okay.
over.
Police came over?
But she's not totally right what she said before. She came back because she accused my son's girlfriend of calling her a...
Yes.
So they had a confrontation. I just stopped and I said, listen, you two shut up, and I think you better get off my property because you're offending my little
Is that
party.
what happened?
No.
What happened?
She called me. I was almost back onto my property. There was probably about 25, 30 feet between us. I turned around and said, excuse me? And she said, I didn't say... And I said, really? Because it sounded like you called me. And she said it again. She said, I didn't say... So I said, fine, and I walked back to my house.
That sounds right.
Okay. Well,
Now,
yes.
she went back to the house. She called the police. Police come to your house and say what?
So what do you, what's the problem? He says, well, I don't have no problem with it, but somebody's complaining about your loud music. I go, okay, because I know she came down, so I figured it was her, but I'm not going to push it. So I said, okay, so I went upstairs, turned it down a couple notches, and he said fine, and he went on his nice way. He was a nice police officer.
Okay, so then what did you do after he left?
I'm going to say 5:30, maybe 6. I went and took the pig out of the ground because I put a little pig in the ground for our...
I don't hear you.
Huh?
About 5:36, you lost me. I didn't hear what you said.
I put a pig in the ground.
What do you mean you put a pig in the ground?
An animal, like, a pig.
Why'd you put a pig in the ground? Oh, a barbecue.
Yes.
Not a live pig. A dead pig.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we went to get the pig out of the ground, and then we were going to go over and eat. And while they were doing that, I said, I think I like, to myself, not to nobody else. I just took off on it and said, hey, I'd like to go talk to nothing disgraceful of Mike, but on the mountain there we call him Fat Mike, or, it's not being mean to him, and he knows that. I just said I need to go talk to Fat Mike, see what's going on, because, the cops come down here.
So this is after you had your third beer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and were these little teeny weeny beers, medium-sized beers, or big beers?
I think they're 12-ounce cans.
Okay. So while they're cutting up the pig and everybody is having, you decide to go over and speak to Fat Mike.
So she came to the door, and I told her, like, if you're going to call the cops on me, it'd be nice for you to let me know. And then I did use a bad word. I said effing, and I said, oop, caught myself. Says, you know what? I don't need to talk to you no more. I want to talk to your dad. But I knew there was a car in there, so I said, hey, I'll talk to him Sunday. And I walked away.
All right, Miss Baucom. Now, why don't you tell me your version of what Mr. Schmersel said when he came to your house?
First of all, he's confused. The date was actually July 19th, and I have the police report to prove it.
So he's only a month and some off.
Yes.
Not.
Well, it says on my thing here, 7/28, and that was, oh, I'm not going to interrupt.
7 is July.
Okay.
8 is August.
Okay.
Why don't you tell me what happened when he came to the house about 6 o'clock, Miss Baucom?
He knocked on my door very loudly, and I opened the door, and he said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you. Do you hear me? I will kill you. I will you up so bad. I get your dad down here, get your boyfriend down here. I will them up too. I will kill you. And then he left.
And then he left.
During the whole conversation, my friend, I was on the phone with her, and I have records to show.
I just want to see the police report. Miss Baucom.
Sure.
Don't get upset. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you. This man is not going to hurt you. You know what happens to him? He gets stupid when he drinks.
I'm very aware of that.
He gets stupid. His family gets stupid. His brother may get stupid when he doesn't drink, because I watched him. You don't have a case against the defendant. I'm going to look at the article that you have. The article reported that you were arrested for threatening her. Is that what you're talking about?
All I have evidence is the money I paid to bail out of jail.
I don't care what you paid to bail out. You lost your temper. You went over to her house and you threatened her. And you had too much to drink. And her version of what you said to her was absolutely accurate. You were annoyed. You had a little time and you went over there and you mouthed off at her, and you had no right to do that.
I did not threaten her.
Yes, you did. And she was frightened, and she called the police. You deserve it. Shame on you. Your case is dismissed. Now, let me get to your counterclaim. He's not going to do anything to you. I know that you may feel frightened, but you don't get compensated for that. That you feel as if you're uncomfortable being around him, you're uncomfortable that he might come to your house again. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I have a feeling when he behaves properly and when he hasn't been drinking, that he's a pretty mild guy. And if he's not, and if he should come to bother you again, now he has a history.
Yes.
He has a record, which would be very, very unfortunate for him. You got it? Good. So, your claim is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This has been going on for years. That's why there's no neighbors here for witnesses, because every neighbor, I canvass the neighborhood, everybody out there is afraid of him.
I never threatened that girl. I think I do no good to hit a girl.
He's an alcoholic. He drinks all the time. He's going to come over and he's going to do it again.
Heck, he's built half the houses in that county. You know, I mean, we built...
Claudia Blanco says ex-boyfriend Rene Trujillo owes for illegally repossessing her car. Rene is countersuing, claiming Claudia's negligence ruined his credit.
Ms. Blanco, Mr. Trujillo was your boyfriend.
Yes.
Your complaint alleges that he co-signed for a car for you.
Yes.
The car was titled in his name,
And mine.
but he was on the loan.
Yes.
You couldn't get credit.
Both of us were on the loan.
But you couldn't get credit yourself.
Yes.
You broke up. And the agreement, when he agreed to co-sign for you, from what I understand, was as follows. He would co-sign for you, and you would make regular payments on the car, timely, that you would maintain insurance on the car, that you would pay for his cell phone, maintain his cell phone. Anything else, sir?
Medical insurance.
And keep him on your medical insurance, pay for his medical insurance.
Yes.
That was in exchange for him obligating himself on the car loan. You broke up. According to Mr. Trujillo, you were late in many of your car payments, which damaged his credit.
Yes.
In addition, although he doesn't say it, you do, you canceled his cell phone and canceled his medical insurance.
In January of '07, yes. This year.
Whatever. You canceled his medical insurance. There was no time limit on this contract.
It wasn't really an agreement that I was going to pay his cell phone insurance. It was more of a blackmail, and I have emails to prove that.
What do you mean? Just a sec. I'll see you in a sec. But it's my understanding, even from you, in your complaint, that we came to an agreement, this is what you swore to, that he would co-sign my car for me, and I would pay for his cell phone plan along with adding him to my medical insurance. That's what you say.
Yes.
So you canceled his cell phone and you canceled his medical insurance. You fell behind in your car payments, and he repossessed the car and turned it back in. Is that what you did with it, or are you driving it?
I currently have the car.
You currently have the car, and
Yes.
you've made up the car payments.
Right, I run it up to date.
You want all the money that you put into the car.
Not necessarily all the money, the down payment that I put into and the payments, some of the payments that I did, and for insurance and the cell phone bill that I did remove them from it, but it wasn't really an agreement. And I have emails that show that it was more of, if I take them off, that the car deal would be done and deal with.
Well, that's true. You know, I don't understand, Ms. Blanco. If you made that agreement with him when he co-signed for the car for you, which is what you say in your complaint, and you subsequently break up. So you get the dates. When did you break up?
In September of '06.
And when was the car purchased?
July 22nd of '06.
And when did you take him off the cell phone?
The cell phone, I took him off in this February of '07.
And when did you cut him off of your health insurance?
They didn't cancel that until August 31st of this year, after he took the vehicle and everything.
When did you cancel him from the health insurance? Not when they took him off. When did you cancel
When
him?
I told him June of this year.
June.
Of '07.
And he repossessed the car?
June 10th.
Which he lied about repoing the car. He did not tell me anything.
He doesn't have to tell you anything. How many times were you late on car payments?
4 times. But I have proof from VW that I called them, everything, we stayed in touch.
I don't care whether you stayed in touch. What does that mean, Ms. Blanco, that you stayed in touch?
Because they cut my hours from work. It was very unexpected. On March
10th, we had a meeting, and they told us, hey, we're cutting hours by Monday. I went from working 40-plus hours to 32 hours. There was no way I could come up with the money. I was trying my hardest to get a second job, and Renee knew about this. He knew that I was trying to get a second job. I kept in touch with him. I only paid $110 this time.
Ms.
We're going to do it.
You have to be a grown-up, sweetheart.
I was
Listen
now.
to me. You can't visit your problems on him. The fact that you were working with Volkswagen and they don't want your old car back, they want to work with you as long as they're going to get their money, right? That's one thing. That doesn't mean it's not reported to his credit as the co-signer. The fact that you lost hours impacted on him.
He
You
knew
understand that.
I understand
That's his
that.
complaint, because he has a counterclaim. He says you ruined his credit, because for 4 times, and I don't care if it was 4 times or 3 times or 2 times, if you don't make your car payment on time, the people who were responsible on that loan are going to be penalized. That was him. He has an absolute right to repossess the car for that alone. In addition to the fact that you had a contract with him, a verbal contract, he would obligate himself on the car if you would maintain him on his cell phone and your insurance. Well, after a while, you're not his girlfriend anymore. You say, I'm going to cancel that cell phone. I don't want to pay for a cell phone, but he's calling other people, and I don't want to pay for his health insurance anymore. I'm canceling it.
It wasn't out of a malicious act to
doesn't have to
remove
be
him.
It doesn't have to be malicious. That was your contract with him.
But it wasn't a contract.
Yes, it was. That's what you said. You
I
said
have
it
emails
was an
from him.
agreement. We came to an agreement that he would co-sign my car for me and I would pay for his cell phone along with adding him to my health insurance. You want me to see what you signed?
I know. I circled that agreement part. It wasn't...
That's what you signed.
I know.
That's what you swore to.
It wasn't an
That's what you said happened. That's what he says happened. You may not want to revisit that now.
Your Honor, there's an email here that shows the only reason I kept that going was because
she
of
doesn't
this.
understand that the email is going to support exactly what I said. Yeah, he says to you, you keep me on your insurance and your cell phone plan, and we'll keep the same car deal. That's what he says.
But it wasn't the car deal. The reason why it says car deal is because when we first signed up for the car, we signed up on July 22nd. A couple days after that, the guy that we did the car loan with called us in and said, hey, we have a better interest rate for you. If you come in, we could redo the contract. So I got sick a couple days after that, so we couldn't go right away. I had surgery, everything was fine. We went back and redid the contract, but before we redid the contract, we got into an argument, and I said, you know what, we have to take this out of my name, or out of your name, put it into my own name, now that, this is not how it's supposed to be. And in that email it says,
Ms. Blanco, was the car in both your names?
Yes.
Was the loan in both your names?
Yes.
Do you have proof, sir, that your credit score went from one thing to another?
I do.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. This is the before and the after with the credit scores highlighted.
I have the proof of, or not proof, but when we first co-signed the car, they did a credit check on us, and I have the credit score that they gave us on his and
Not
mine.
us, him.
And mine. Both of ours.
Just his.
Oh, you want
What was his?
His was 776.
Now it's 630. Now it's 630, based upon your 4 late payments. Now, is this a new car?
Yes.
You know, when you walk out of the showroom, the car is diminished by 20%?
Yes.
So he had to take over a car that was now worth 20% less because you ruined his credit, in addition to cutting off his cell phone and insurance. Forget that. So you don't get anything for that, Ms. Blanco? Nothing.
This it wasn't an agreement. I know that says it's agreement, but when we were signing it upstairs, I circled it and said it wasn't really an agreement.
Whether it was or it was not, you cannot ruin the co-signatory's credit rating because you had a problem with your job. That's not his problem.
He knew that, and we were trying. We both wanted to make payments on it, but they didn't take credit card.
No.
And I tried my hardest to get a second job.
Crying. Did you buy a new car?
No, I have not.
Why not?
I'm saving up for it.
Good. That's what you should have done.
Payments.
That's what you should have done.
And that's what we wanted to do, and I wanted to do, and I have proof that I tried my hardest to get my car to pass smog so that I didn't have to get a new car. Chucky was also there as when I was searching for a new car. I did not want payments whatsoever, and he convinced me to get a new car and get payments.
You are a very strong young lady, and you don't seem to me like somebody who's shy. You got into difficulty. He had a right to take back the car.
Not the way he did, though.
Listen.
I was at work, Your Honor.
I'm not saying he was Prince Charming. He had a right to take back the car.
But I was at work, Your Honor, when he came, and I had lunch with my boss, and he just took the car. He did not warn me. After lying about having the spare key.
I'm not the moral police, Ms. Blanco. I'm here to decide a legal issue. The legal issue is, did he have the right to take the car? Absolutely. Did he have the right to sell the car? Absolutely. Does he have the right to keep the car and make the payments? Absolutely. That is his prerogative. Because you ruined his credit. You have no right to do that. You have to be a big grown-up girl and not say, because I lost my job, I had surgery, I had other things that happened to me, and I had this and I had that. It's not my fault. He took the car the way I was having lunch with my boss. He didn't give me notice. You breached the contract to make the payments in a timely manner. May not have been of your own volition. It may have been because, I don't know, the sky was falling and henny penny and whatever other reason it was, but that can't impact on him. He's not your boyfriend anymore. He's not your boyfriend, he's not your father, he's not your brother, he has no moral obligation to you whatsoever. Now, you're driving the car, sir?
No, it's currently garaged at my mother's house.
Why?
Because I have nowhere to put it at. I go to San Francisco State, and I have no
Well,
garage
who's going to drive the car?
My mom's driving it right now.
Oh, your mom's driving it. Good. So you have a nice car, right?
Right.
Good. So what are you complaining about?
By the time I sell the car to my supervisor here, I won't have lost $5,000.
Well, you should have sold it to her sooner.
She doesn't have. She's going to apply for a loan.
You should have sold it to her sooner. That's not her problem. That's your problem.
Okay.
You took back the car. Car is in good running order.
Yes.
And now you're paying for it, and you're going to sell it to somebody else.
To her.
And right now your mother's driving it.
Right.
Very nice. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Okay.
So is your claim. You're not entitled to any money back. That's all. Thank you. Thank you. Complaint. Miss Russell, who is your former wife, borrowed some money from you, and then she took some money that you had given her to hold for safekeeping.
Right.
This was after she and her children, because the two of you have 5 children together. You have children from a previous marriage or relationship, and Miss Russell has children from a previous marriage or relationship, 5 in total, none that are your joint children together. Right. And you were divorced, and then after a couple of months decided that it was a mistake to get divorced, so she moved back in with you, and that, again, didn't work out. But it was during this period after the divorce that was your claim that these loans took place. $900 that you claim was a loan, and $3,600 that you claim she actually stole from you.
Well, more or less.
So give me some dates, Mr. Sadler. When were you married?
2001. December of 2001, I believe. I'm sorry, 2002.
And when were you divorced?
October of 2004.
And when did Miss Russell and her children move back in with you?
In December.
And when did she move out?
End of February. February 23rd, I believe.
Okay. Do you have custody of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
Now let's talk about the loan first. The loan was made, according to you, in December of 2004.
Right.
Tell me about the loan.
Basically, she had decided she wanted to go bankrupt so she could be a stay-at-home mother. And so I had her pull $1,500 out of my home equity. And we actually spent $600 of that on bills, and the additional $900 left was supposed to go into savings where I was going to pay an attorney for her to go bankrupt when that time came. But the money never went into savings or checking. She just held on to it, and it went with her when she moved out. And she never did go bankrupt. And she ended up, from what I understand, just using money to catch up her bills.
Miss Russell, when had you accumulated this debt that inspired you to think about bankruptcy?
Most of my debt was acquired when we were married, and then also in some of our separations. But I've always kept my credit up to par. I mean, I had like 16 revolving accounts, no lates, anything. And during the time that we had discussed me going bankrupt for the family, I didn't pay my bills, and then...
Could you look at me?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a simple question that I asked you.
Okay.
When did you accumulate the debt which inspired you to think about bankruptcy?
Over time, between 2001 through 2004.
Credit cards?
Yes, ma'am.
16 credit cards?
Well, I don't have 16 credit cards. I have 16 revolving accounts. I watch my credit like a hawk.
What do you mean 16 revolving accounts? You have lines of credit at banks?
Well, I don't owe any money to a bank per se unless it's through like Target Visa or Wachovia Visa.
So then why were you contemplating bankruptcy?
When Stephen and I were together, I did spend majority of the time as a homemaker, and then I would, go to school, and I did have odds and end jobs. Stephen works on commission, and this past year it dropped significantly, and we had discussed from talking to neighbors and things like that that maybe I should go bankrupt and it's not so hard, and with the idea that Steve and I would be together forever, I didn't have to worry about having my name on a mortgage or having my name on another car loan, that he would take care of that, and then it would relieve some financial burden for us.
How much in debt were you?
We weren't going to go bankrupt on my car because my mom is actually a co-signer, or actually she's the primary for me on that, and we were going to substantiate.
How much in debt are you?
I don't know. I didn't add it up. I didn't go that far. I owe like maybe $8,000 on my Target Visa, $6,000 on my Wachovia Visa, $2,500 maybe to Rooms to Go, I know Sam's Club, Home Depot. I think I owe them like $2,000.
What do you do for a living?
I am a student. I moved home with my mom and wait tables and things like that.
Your children live with you?
Yes, they do.
You get child support for your children?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I get $125 a week.
When was the last time you held a full-time job?
I'm not really good with dates.
Are you very good with jobs, is the question, Miss Russell.
I'm sorry, what?
You have 2 children?
Yes.
I have 2 children.
Well, that's a full-time job, but I don't really necessarily
How old are your
get paid
children?
for that. I have a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Do you have a 13-year-old takes care of himself?
Himself.
Himself?
2 sons.
5-year-old's in daycare?
Actually, he's in pre-K.
Now we talk about a full-time job. That's
and
what happens
he's actually
when you...
a very difficult child, not that you want to hear it, because he has issues and he sees a psychologist and psychiatrist and otitis media and all those wonderful things.
You still have to work, Miss Russell.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, there are alternatives to stiffing a whole bunch of people who extended your
I know,
credit.
that's why I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to do it.
Okay, good. Now, let's get to the $900. So far, Mr. Sadler, I haven't heard anything about a loan. I heard that you put $900 away ostensibly for a bankruptcy lawyer.
Right.
And now I hear, Mr. Sadler, that there was discussion between you and your wife.
Right.
Although you were divorced, you were living together as a family again, about the viability of her going bankrupt to relieve the family of all of these bills so that there would sort of be a fresh start. You wouldn't have to be spending your money on that.
Well, it was
right?
more because she didn't want to work full time.
Listen to me, sir. Were there discussions between the two of you, since you are now together as a family, that this was a viable option to relieve the family of these?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So she was going to stiff the other creditors, but the one creditor that she couldn't stiff was her mother, because her mother's the co-signer on the car. You see how you get things at... Just let people talk and then it all comes together.
And later today...
I ran over there and tried to fish the fish out of the tank with a net and put them into fresh water, hoping that I could save their lives. They were kind of floundering around, but I mean, there was still some sort of life in them.
And they all died?
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Steve Sadler says ex-wife Anna Russell owes for an unpaid loan to retain a bankruptcy attorney. Steve also claims Anna stole money from him.
Oh, so now you can tell me the story about Mr. Sadler, the $3,600 that you claim Miss Russell stole from you.
Okay, basically I got a lump sum of child support from my first wife, and with her going bankrupt, I had agreed that we would use the money, basically like an investment in our family, to pay down on her car, because she was going to keep her car, and that would lower that payment. But the money never got used, and our relationship just kind of went downhill. And basically, I told her, I wanted to put the money in savings account because I wasn't sure where, our relationship was going, and I wasn't going to pay it towards her car if we were going to break up.
Is that what you said to her? At the time you gave her, according to you, the $3,600, you said, I'm not putting it in a checking account. I'm giving it to you to pay off your car. But if we break up, I want you to give me back the money.
Well, that never came out, but, I mean, she understood that because she
Don't tell me what she understood.
Well,
this is a court, Mr. Sadler.
It was like this. She had even made a statement to me that, we would discuss it if we decided she was going to use the money for something else other than what we had talked about.
You talked about just paying down the car or paying down the credit cards?
Well, first it was the credit cards, and then she decided to go bankrupt, and then it was, since she was going to still have her car, just use it towards her car.
So she was going to stiff the other creditors, but the one creditor that she couldn't stiff was her mother, because her mother's the co-signer on the car. You see how you get things at... Just let people talk, and then it all comes together. Good thing that they strengthened the bankruptcy laws in this country. Financial planning is not bankruptcy. I people sort of think that financial planning is another term for bankruptcy. Okay. How much did you earn last year, sir?
Last year, I earned roughly $45,000.
And how much do you get in child support for your 3 children?
I get, for 3 children, I get $50 a week. For 3.
What does your former wife do?
I think she works at a daycare at a gym. But she kind of goes in and out of jobs.
That's the reason you have the custody of your children.
Well, there were other reasons, but okay.
Okay. Does she see her children?
Not anymore. She's actually talking about getting for the summer because she lives in another state.
Well, if she gets them for the summer, sir, if you agree to that, you tell her that you'll give her $50 a week for the 3 children.
Actually, I'm not going to
see
give
how
her,
that flies.
I wasn't going to give her anything.
Right. Now, the $3,600 he gave you, under what circumstances?
I think Stephen felt guilty because when we would break up, he would also spend money too. And he was taking out a line of credit towards the house. And even though we were a family unit, the money was only going to go towards his bills, but not help me with mine. And I think that he felt guilty, and that he said if he ever did get the money from Misha, which is the back child support, and I did raise the children for that time, that I could have it, because he considered it like free money. I can even remember when I was even at home with him, and my mom was on the phone, and he was saying if he did get the money, you know, that I could have it. And I was like, Mom, you know, you need to write down this date, because we didn't really know, because we have an up and down relationship. And
I got it, Miss Russell.
Okay. But he did give me the money, and I didn't steal it.
What did you do with it?
I paid it towards my bills. And just to let you know, I didn't just want to go bankrupt. It was, I mean, he was even saying, you know, you need to go bankrupt before these laws come into effect. It's going to be harder.
Well, whatever.
But I do
In any
care.
event, Mr. Sadler, I don't hear anything about a loan, sir. I don't hear anything about a loan for the $900. And I read your complaint very carefully, which I don't buy. I'm going to tell you why I don't buy it. Your complaint, which you swore to, says, she wanted to file bankruptcy and asked for my help, so I agreed to loan her $900 to retain an attorney. Well, that's not true. That's even not what you testified to today, right? So that's false. Then you say, in January, I received $3,600 in back child support from my first wife. I cashed the check. I was afraid if I put the money directly into my checking account, I would spend it. So I gave the entire sum to Anna to put aside for us.
Right.
Now listen to me. In the previous paragraph of your complaint, you say she wanted to file for bankruptcy because she had spent money that she shouldn't have. And then you went on to tell me I agreed to loan her the $900, and then she went on a spending spree and spent approximately $5,000 on her credit card because she knew she was going to file a bankruptcy, so she might as well work up the credit cards, right? Now, a month later, as irresponsible as that is, right? So you would say this is irresponsible, right?
Right.
She was going to file bankruptcy, which means she didn't have money. So she said, I'm going to go out and jack up my credit cards, probably buying things, Christmas presents and things like that, month of December, right, sir?
Well,
but according to you, she did that, and that was financially irresponsible. So the next month you get the $3,600, and since you didn't trust yourself by putting it in your checking account, you gave it to Miss Responsibility to hold for us.
Steve Sadler says ex-wife Anna Russell owes for an unpaid loan to retain a bankruptcy attorney. Steve also claims Anna stole money from him.
I don't buy it, Mr. Sadler. I don't buy the $900 loan to your former wife, and I don't buy the fact that you gave her this money to hold for us. I believe that you gave her this money to pay down her credit card debt, and she owes you absolutely nothing. Zippo, nada, goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's about getting back what I felt like should have been returned to me in the event our family fell apart.
He actually had me served with papers trying to have me arrested, saying that I stole the money.
We've broke up, God, probably 16 times in the last 4 years, and I'm not about to say it's the last time.
I'm currently reading the book, He's Just Not That Into You, and if I had to give my own words of it, I would have to say he's just not that into you if he sues you and tries to have you arrested.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lee versus Gann. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Jonathan Lee is suing his former friend, 20-year-old student Christopher Gann, for killing his fish when he dumped soap in his freshwater aquarium. Christopher says it was an accident.
Your first name is Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're Christopher?
Christopher.
And you used to be roommates?
Yes.
How long were you roommates?
About a year.
You go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
What year are you in?
I'm a third year, ma'am.
Me too, I'm a third year.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Computer science.
You don't want to be a veterinarian, do you?
No.
Jonathan,
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher destroyed your fish tank.
Yes, ma'am.
Based upon those relics there, it was a big fish tank.
Yes, ma'am.
And he destroyed your fish tank with soapy water.
Yes, ma'am.
Killed all the fish.
Yes, ma'am.
He says it was the fish's fault.
More or less, ma'am.
They were in the wrong place in the apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
And he tripped over them. Is that right, Christopher?
I
read your answer.
I kind of bumped into the tank, which
Because you say in your answer, the tank and the fish was placed in a high-traffic zone.
Yeah, I have a set of photographs with the picture of where the tank is, and it's
I'd
situated.
like to see that.
Oh.
Okay. When did this happen?
Sometime in November.
Jonathan, when did it happen?
November 18th, 2004, ma'am.
And you came home and found everything destroyed.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right? Okay. And this is where the fish tank was?
Yes,
And it wasn't on wheels, was it?
it's on cinder blocks.
It's not one of these remote-controlled fish tanks that move around.
No,
How long have you been living in this apartment?
almost a year.
And in the year, has the fish tank been in the same spot?
It was placed in the end of summer, and then it happened in November.
So it's been there for a couple of months.
A few months, yes.
Stationary.
Stationary.
And the only thing that's moved is you.
Is me, yes.
You get my drift where I'm
Right.
going.
Oh, and I wrote in.
So why don't you tell me, Christopher, how this happened and why you don't think that you're responsible to your former roommate for replacing his fish tank?
First off, I have a copy of our rental agreement, which states that no pets should be allowed, and that no things should be placed in hallways that obstruct movement. So what had happened was I'd filled this bowl with soap, concentrated hand soap and water, and I was walking from the kitchen to the garage because I wanted to spot clean my shoes. So as I was walking with this bowl, I saw my roommate who crossed from downstairs into this pseudo hallway because it's the main walkway from rooms entrance to the kitchen. So I took the bowl away to get it away from him, and then he made a sudden move to like try to mess with me, and I kind of stepped back and I banged my elbow into the fish tank, dropping the bowl into the tank. And that's what happened.
Do you have any witnesses that were there that day?
Actually, no one witnessed it, so no one saw it.
Well, the other roommate was there, according to him.
He didn't tell me anything beyond that they were horsing around. That's it.
Tell me what happened when you got home.
When I got home, I came in from the garage and basically saw him and another roommate removing bubbles from the tank. And I was kind of shocked. And I go, "What happened?" He said, "I spilled soap into your tank." "How'd you do it?" "I was horsing around." "Well, what are you doing?" "Well, I'm moving the bubbles." So I ran over there and tried to fish the fish out of the tank with a net and put them into fresh water, hoping that I could save their lives. They were kind of floundering around, but I mean, there was still some sort of life in them.
How many fish did you have in the tank?
I had sitlets and plecos and a gourami man. I was trying to breed them.
So you had 6 fish?
I believe I had 7, 9, 10 fish and 2 snails, ma'am.
And they all died?
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher, listen to me carefully, sir. Whose fault do you think it is that all these fish died?
I think it should be, it's mutual, like, he shouldn't have had the tank there in the first place.
The tank's been there for months, sir. When for the first time did you complain to him that the tank was there?
I didn't want to complain to him.
So you never complained to him?
No.
When for the first time did you complain to him that he was in violation of the lease because he had pets in the apartment?
After he trying to come after me for $400.
But not before?
No.
So that's a lot of baloney. What you're saying to me really is, it's my fault and I'm trying to find some reason to avoid responsibility. So far, I haven't heard it's my fault because I was horsing around with my roommate.
It is my fault.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $330. Thank you. That's all.
Why don't you guys excuse? You may step out.
I think it's completely ridiculous that he's allowed to get $330 for essentially $30 worth of fish.
There are plenty of sites and experts that will tell you that if you work with soap and fish, it doesn't mix.
I immediately told him what had happened, and, you know, he just looked confused and said, okay.
I was just shocked. I mean, the fact that someone could have such disregard for life just... it's a horrible thing.
I don't even live there anymore. I just come in, get clothing, leave.
The fish were basically floundering and then they were dying.
I actually do pay rent there still.
Imagine not being able to breathe. That's what they were doing.
We're not even friends anymore.
Hey, he doesn't want to be friends. That's fine too.
All over dead fish.
McManus, it is your claim that the defendant, Mr. Leal, owes you, really you and your wife, for 2 loans that you made to him during the course of his relationship with your daughter.
Correct.
One was for $1,500 towards the purchase of a car for him.
Yes.
The second was $125 that he needed because he was short of rent, and he called you and asked you for the money. Mr. Leal says that you generously agreed to help him buy this car, and it was a gift. The $1,500 was a gift, and as was the $125 that you gave him towards the rent. Mr. Leal is counterclaiming because he says when he attempted to break off the relationship with your lovely daughter, she threw a hissy fit and broke a whole bunch of his property. Yes. Correct, sir? I'm going to start with you. When were you and Elizabeth dating?
January, I believe.
Of what year?
Was it 2003?
Elizabeth, when?
It was in March of 2003.
And there was a time that you lived together. Would you tell me when that was?
After dating there, we actually both moved to Michigan, where I went to school at, and Mrs. McManus wasn't too happy there.
Right, this is a whole saga here. When did you live together, Mr. Leal?
But I moved down, and that was in January, I believe.
2004?
Yes.
Now, you didn't have a car.
No.
You were sharing a car with Elizabeth?
Yes.
You wanted your own car, and you approached your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And they agreed to give you how much money?
They gave me about $3,900.
Go ahead.
I found a car that was, well, decently priced for $4,900.
You saw a car for $4,900.
Mm-hmm.
All you had was $3,900.
Mm-hmm. So
what did you do, Gilbert?
I didn't really think twice about it. At the time, I didn't really find anything that was working with $3,900.
Life is very short.
Right.
And I have a lot of work to do.
Right.
So, you have $3,900.
Mm-hmm.
The car you want is $4,900.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do?
Well, we were living together, like you already know. At the time, me and Elizabeth kind of briefly discussed it a little bit, but it still wasn't anything, too serious. So her dad approached me with helping me.
Gilbert, at some point you had to call Mr. McManus and say, I have $3,900. The car I want is $4,900. Can you help me out?
Right.
So, I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's not what I do. How did the McManuses find out that the car you sought exceeded your bank account?
Through Elizabeth.
Did you discuss with your parents the fact that his eyes were bigger than his stomach?
Yes, Your Honor, and there was a...
Just a second.
Okay.
So he told you, and you went to your parents.
Uh-huh. He also spoke to my parents.
Just a second. Who went there first, Elizabeth?
Me. Okay.
And what did you say to mother and or father?
I told them that Gil had backed my car into someone else's car in a Taco Bell parking lot and took off paint that he said he was going to pay for, and that the whole car situation wasn't working out, and he needs a car so he can get to work and I can do my thing. Can you...
That's what you told your parents?
Yes.
Can you what?
Can you help him out by giving him a loan?
Who did you discuss it with, your father or your mother?
My mom.
What did your mother say?
We had offered to loan Gil the money well before he found the car, and then they moved down here. And he found the car, and then Elizabeth called and said, he could really use that help of that loan that you had offered him, because the car that he wants is $5,000, and his parents was able to give him $3,500. And so we gave Gil a loan for $1,500.
That was in February of 2004?
Yes.
And when did you break up?
March 14th, 2004.
So, a couple of weeks later, right? Mm-hmm. But there was a second loan. What was the second loan about?
Well, before they moved down, I had told him that if he needed help making the rent, food, whatever, to cover his share, if he were to advise me if he was in any problem, that I would be willing to help. He called me directly on the phone, said he was short of the rent. I knew that she didn't want to hear about that problem because she was struggling to make up her end of it.
So he gave him $125.
On the condition he'd pay me back when the first time he got paid, which would have been within 10 days, as I remember it. I've never heard from him since.
Now, a couple of weeks later, you decided you wanted out of this relationship. Tell me why.
We had been arguing pretty much when we moved in. It was just tough on us. I wasn't working full-time, and she then started talking with her ex-boyfriend and different things like that, and disregarded our relationship altogether. I said it wasn't going to work out, so
now let's
I
get to your
decided to
counterclaim, Gilbert.
Well, counterclaim was that day that I moved out that night. she decided to help me move by breaking my stuff and throwing it at me. On top of that, I had 2 items that were very close to me and very personal to me that she threw and lost.
Allow me to intervene if I may. If I could be so bold, Judge.
You can't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You double locked the door from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Nasty. Take your hands off your hips.
Sorry. Yes, I agree. That was nasty. And he said, "I'm leaving." And I snapped.
And later today,
You have a drug problem?
No, ma'am.
So then why weren't you working?
We were working.
Well, was 2 people working, it would seem to me you could have some sort of place for your children.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth McManus and her parents, Rich and Manon McManus, claim Elizabeth's ex-boyfriend, Gilbert Layell, owes for a loan to buy a car and unpaid rent.
Go ahead. We did have a big fight. And what he's referring to is that he left the apartment for 2 hours. Didn't tell me where he was going. Nothing. And I ended up locking the doors on him, and I went to bed. And so whenever he came back, he's pounding on the door, and I wasn't going to let him in because...
You mean you double locked the door from the inside?
Mm-hmm.
Nasty.
I was trying to do that.
Yeah, take your hands off your hips.
Sorry. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. That was nasty. I was trying to show him that don't just leave me for hours and don't tell me where you go. So what I'm trying to get at is that he came in the house, and it ended up that he said, "I'm sick of this. I'm leaving." And I snapped. Your Honor, I was very upset because we have this agreement to be living together, and he's trying to bail on me. So I said, "I will help you move out." And I took his things, and then I went like that. And the rock he was referring to and an angel that were important to him, the last I ever saw those items were on the bed.
What did you break, Elizabeth?
I don't believe I broke anything.
You were throwing his stuff.
I shoved it off the table. I didn't, throw it as like launching it at him.
You didn't pick up my glasses and throw them at me, crush them and throw them at me?
I tossed things across the room.
Elizabeth, now your brother is dying to say something. Was he there that evening?
He was not there that fight.
Mr. McManus, you want to say anything?
Yeah, briefly.
Well, then stand up.
Stand up by me, honey.
When Gil was moving out the final time, he was fully packed. And at no point did I witness any destructive act.
Well, your sister already has told me that she threw his stuff around, right? So you're not going to say she didn't, because she couldn't. Good.
But I don't believe that it was a result in any destructiveness, meaning his items at no point, to my observations, were broken as a result of any arguable tantrums.
Good.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When Elizabeth and Gil came home, and Elizabeth found out about the $125, what came out was, "Mom, he wasn't short $125. He's still short $200 for the rent. I have a hole in my wall. I have a hole in my door because he's gotten upset and he's creating damage." And I said to Elizabeth at that time, "He can't stay. I don't mind supporting you. You're my daughter. I'm not going to support your boyfriend."
I got it. I got it. One of the problems is your husband, behind his daughter's back, had a conversation with Gilbert. He was well-meaning, but he said to Gilbert, "Look, so you're going to be short. If you're short, you let me know because I'll help you out." I can understand why Elizabeth was annoyed, because he's supposed to be taking care of business and he wasn't taking care of business. Right, Elizabeth?
Yes. And
all right. But I'm going to tell you something that you said to me. It was really kind of stupid. And that is, if he decided to move out because you weren't getting along, why you lost your temper, I don't know. I would have thrown him a party. Not thrown his things. I would have thrown him a party. And you really had no right to lock him out of the apartment, because irrespective of where he got the money, he was paying rent. Now, Gilbert, your parents love you?
Yes.
Is that why they were helping you with your money?
Yes.
Mr. McManus doesn't love you. And the reason he was helping you was because of his daughter, not because of you. He doesn't care whether he doesn't see you starting today until hell freezes over. Now, are you a moral person, Gilbert?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Bless you. Thank you. You see, now, if I was superstitious, I would say, when you sneeze after you say something, it's because you're telling the truth. So Mr. McManus really doesn't care whether he sees you from today until hell freezes over.
Elizabeth McManus and her parents, Rich and Manon McManus, claim Elizabeth's ex-boyfriend, Gilbert Layell, owes for a loan to buy a car and unpaid rent.
Are you working now, Gilbert?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get to work last week?
Another car that I own.
When did you sell the Camaro, Gilbert?
No, I didn't sell the Camaro yet. But
Where
I'm
is
going
it?
To. It's in my possession.
What kind of car did you buy, Gilbert?
Just another commute car, like a little Civic.
Why would you do that, Gilbert?
I planned on selling the Camaro, so I needed something that was a little less. The Camaro was giving me a lot of problems as far as...
Well, I hope that you sell it for at least $1,500, Gilbert.
I hope.
Because you owe the McManuses $1,500. I'm surprised at you, sir. I'm really surprised that you committed yourself to another car that you purchased and paid for while still having the old one and didn't have the good judgment and the moral compass to say, these people were nice to me, and I'm going to see to it that they get their money back. The $125 for rent, sir, that's your problem. Put your hand down. That's your problem. You offered, he accepted, he gave him $125. Don't do it again. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500, which is the amount of money that you loaned him for the car. Now, as far as your personal property is concerned, Gilbert, you have photographs of the personal property that she destroyed?
No, I don't.
You have bills and receipts for the personal property she destroyed?
No, ma'am.
Well, I can't help you, sir. Thank you. That's all. Counterclaims dismissed.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt that I shouldn't have to pay $2 grand for a rock and a stone, especially to a pathological liar like he is.
The only thing I really cared about was my family things that were handed down to me.
What upset me was that he lied to them.
Well, after everything was broken, I didn't really care.
He took advantage of me, too. I could go on, but that'd take all day.
She just was upset that I did that.
I think she's come away claim that after an evening of drinking, Mr. Schiller purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Mr. Schiller says that he did not damage your car, and in any event, you don't take responsibility for things that you do because a month or so previous to this incident, you got drunk and got sick on his carpeting and didn't take responsibility for that. So that's what happens when you get drunk. That's your defense.
That's basically correct, yes.
All right. Let's get to my favorite part of this. Let's get to the drinking part. What date did this incident allegedly happen, Mr. Sherman?
March 25th, 2005.
What time?
About 1 o'clock in the morning.
What day of the week was the 25th of March?
I believe it was a Saturday.
So nobody had school or work. Do you work or go to school?
I go to college, and I also
Where?
work. Longview Community College.
Okay. Where did you start your drinking, Mr. Sherman, on Saturday night?
Went to a party, I believe it was a high school party in a rural area. I didn't know the person's house. I was taken there with my witness, Sean.
How many people were there?
I'd say about 50, 55.
Oh, good. I love this part. There were 50 or 55 high school kids?
Yeah, give or take.
A lot of drinking?
A lot of drinking.
Was it a nice house?
Not really.
Not when they got finished with it. The parents home?
No.
You know, I think when you have teenage children, you should just make a pact. You don't go away.
That's right.
You just don't go away.
Take them with you or lock them up.
Right. They should have sort of a kennel for them. So that the parents can go away. So these 50 teenagers are drinking in a house. Some other guys, you know, older college men like you show up, more responsible, and you're drinking. Now, was everybody bringing their own booze, or was it... What did you bring?
I didn't bring anything. I wasn't drinking, Your Honor.
Not at all?
No.
Who was driving?
I was.
What were you drinking? Is not an answer.
I was
but
drinking.
Standing up is good.
I was drinking Miller Lite.
How many did you bring?
12-pack.
12? Just for you?
Yeah.
And the two of you went together?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know the people whose party it was?
I just got calls from friends and...
Sort of out of the loop. You know, teenage kids have passed me by a long time ago. When you get the call, what does the call usually say?
there's a party, and you come over, and blah, 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 and then you get directions, and just go.
Now you can sit down, Sean, until I need you again. Okay, so what happened at the party, Mr. Sherman?
Well, I went to the party, started talking with some friends, gazed over and saw Mr. Schiller here. He was with his best friends, and they were making faces at me, laughing and towards my direction, and I just got real embarrassed and really just distraught about the whole thing. And then they started making puking motions at me.
Had you gotten sick on Mr. Schiller's carpet the
Yes.
month before?
Yeah, I did.
And did you make arrangements to have the carpet cleaned up?
He refused my help. He said, no, I've had enough with you. He just told me to get out of his house.
Okay. Did he subsequently call you and ask you to pay to have the carpet cleaned?
Not until a week later.
A week later. I said subsequently. Subsequently can be a week.
Okay.
So he called you a week later, and what did you say to him?
I said, no, I'm not going to pay for that.
Okay. Let's cut to the party's over, and you got to the party at what time?
9:30ish?
9:30, and you left about 12:30, 1:45?
Yeah.
Good. And all that time you didn't have a beer?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Almost doesn't pay to go to the party.
Oh, you have a good time there. Socialize. I don't think you have to drink to have a good time.
Any drug? Yeah, well.
No. No drugs.
No drugs?
No drugs, Your Honor.
Any drugs?
No.
Just drinking?
Just drinking.
How much did he drink?
About case.
Okay, so now it's 12:30, 1:45. And you leave?
Yeah, I decided to leave. I was
So,
tired of it.
Now, pick it up from there, Mr. Sherman.
Mr. Schiller and his friends were extremely drunk. I walked out to my car, and they ran in front of me and started pushing my car into a ditch. At that point, I got in the car, told Sean to get in the car, and started the ignition and headed out. They continued to follow me in their Chevy Blazer. Started yelling out the window and flashing their lights, honking their horn, tapping me on the
You
road.
mean acting stupid?
Yeah,
Okay,
acting
so they're
stupid.
acting stupid. What's next?
After that, I got to my house, stepped up on the front porch. They rolled up right behind me, honking the horn, telling me that they want to kick my... And I told them to leave, and they revved their engine and slammed into the back of my car, Your Honor, and then drove off. At that point, I was in shock and called the police. I have the police report right
Can
here.
I see it, please?
Yes.
Have a photograph of the damage?
Yes. I also have an estimate.
I'd like to see that, too. Now I'll hear you, sir.
About a month before this incident occurred,
I know months before you,
Yeah.
you got sick and he ruined your carpet.
ruined
and
the carpet, damaged.
You wanted him to pay
well,
for
not
it.
only that, though, he tried to fight me in my own house.
He got drunk.
He got drunk.
He has a drinking problem.
He cost me, yeah. Well,
He has
he
a
blacked
drinking
out, and I
problem.
let him pass out on the ground.
Listen to me, Mr. Schiller. He has a drinking problem.
He's an alcoholic.
I don't have a drinking problem. He has a drinking problem.
He has a...
Mr. Sherman, I want you to trust me on this one. I have a nose. You shouldn't drink. Keep going.
Well, we were outside. He basically invited us over to try to fight him. He
How
wanted
did
to fight.
he do that?
What, screaming down the road. Sean actually was yelling out the window, come over and fight us.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's... Listen, Mr. Sherman. See, that's what happens when you have a drinking problem. You can't control yourself. Mr. Sherman, do you understand?
Yes.
Understand how quiet he was when you were testifying? Didn't interfere. When you have a drinking problem, even if you haven't been drinking, you lose control of the ability to have control of yourself. Like right now, Mr. Sherman, if I can tell that you, as a 19-year-old kid, drinks too much, by the time you're 30, it's going to be over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I just wanted to get this settled, maybe talk out with him, but...
And you thought, Mr. Schiller, the appropriate time to talk to Mr. Sherman was when he had had a case of beer.
Well, that's the only time to talk to him.
Mr. Schiller, don't play with me, sir.
And later today,
She told me that whenever her son Kenneth was moving up to Kansas City and that his father had a lot of money and they were going to get full custody and make me out to be an unfit mother.
I never said that.
Just a second.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Sherman says acquaintance Jothan Schiller rammed his car in a drunken rage. Jothan claims it's Justin who is the troublemaker.
All right, so now you are at Mr. Sherman's house because this idiot over here challenged you to a duel.
Yes.
And you were sufficiently sophisticated, in control of yourself to say, I'm not going to get started with this. I'm going to go home. Whoops. No, I don't think so. I think I'm going to go over and fight them. Right? Now, you go over there, you honk your horn, and they don't come?
No, they ran inside as soon as we got there.
Right, and you honk your horn.
Yes, I honked.
And they didn't want to come out to fight you?
No, they did not want to. When they had offered first. I mean, I didn't want to fight them. I just wanted to get this settled, maybe talk out with them. But
And you thought, Mr. Schiller, the appropriate time to talk to Mr. Sherman was when he had a case of beer?
yes, that's the only time to talk to him.
No. You thought that the appropriate time to talk to him when he would be in
whenever
control
you see
of
him,
his senses.
he's usually been drinking.
Mr. Schiller, don't play with me, sir.
Well,
all right. And it's your statement that after you honked your horn and they refused to come out, you drove away and you did not back into the car.
I was parked in the driveway, so it might have appeared that I was close, but maybe his prior damage.
So that's your statement. Very good. What year is your car, sir?
A 91 Buick LeSabre.
Okay.
It holds sentimental value, Your Honor.
What?
It was my great-grandfather's. That's why I want it fixed. It holds sentimental value.
Well, I don't get sentimental over a car, sir. You know, maybe a vintage Rolls Royce. But I got to tell you something. You should have it fixed. You're not going to have it fixed for $2,000. You find a ding doctor who can fix it maybe for $500. But I'm going to tell you both. If you continue to drink and act stupid, that's what happens. You ruin carpet. He hits your car. You're just lucky you didn't kill somebody else that evening because you had all been drinking. I have very little sympathy for either one of you. Anyway, you're suing him for $2,000 because that's the estimate that you had. The whole car's not worth $2,000. Get somebody to fix it for $500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just completely outraged. I didn't cause any damage to his car. He's just, like she said, a drinking problem, so that's just the person that we're dealing with.
I don't have a drinking problem. I never did, never will. He's the one with the drinking problem. That's why he hit me.
Alcoholism runs in his family, so he just doesn't have, he also doesn't have regard for society.
I never wanted to start a fight. I just wanted him to go away. That's what I was saying.
He drives home after parties and gets a car.
Incurred as a result of that some overdraft fees. Mr. Abrams says that you're always blaming him for things that aren't true, that aren't his fault, and he did not take any property that belongs to you. So what, Miss Abrams, makes you think that he took property that belongs to you?
Well, on the 20th of July, he took me to a doctor's appointment. And the next day, the 21st of July, when the charges occurred.
On the 21st of July is when the unauthorized charges began?
Yes.
The day later?
Yes.
What kind of charges were placed on your debit card?
There was one charge for $326.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Sprint PCS. What is that?
The Sprint PCS cellular phone bill.
So somebody paid a cellular phone bill on your debit card?
Yes.
And then somebody paid a T-Mobile bill?
Yes.
And then there were a lot of fees. Another T-Mobile bill for $54 on the 26th of July.
Yes, and the defendant owns a T-Mobile.
Does he also own a Sprint phone?
His brother does, as well as he does.
What's your cell phone number, sir?
Mine?
Yours?
773-827.
Okay, and what's your other phone number, sir?
What other one?
You have two phones.
No, no, I don't.
Your brother has a phone?
Yeah, my brother got a Sprint
What's
phone.
your brother's phone?
773-494.
Excuse me, he has the T-Mobile. That's not his T-Mobile number. Can you ask him to tell you his T-Mobile phone number?
What's your T-Mobile number, sir? Just, you be T-Mobile number. Fast.
816.
So you have two phones?
No, that was my old phone until I got the new one right here.
Which phone did you have in July of 2006?
The T-Mobile.
And which number was that?
The 816.
In Your Honor, with that I have a paper from T-Mobile stating that the charges were made to that phone.
You had a prepaid cell phone?
Yes.
Well, you used her credit card in order to make these payments.
No, because my oldest brother here gave me the money to put the prepaid on.
Sir, this company has said that this phone number, 816, was used to pay bills using her credit card. You mean you think that out of the 300 million people who live in this country, it just so happens that you who took her to the doctor on the 20th of July had this phone number? Do you think that that's a coincidence that I'm about to believe?
No.
So you want to tell me what happened with her credit card?
when I took her to the doctor on the July 20th.
Just make sure I don't get aggravated. Just remember what I said. This company has verified that of the 300 million people living in this country, 816 was the one that in an unauthorized fashion used her debit card. You got it? Now I want to find out how you got hold of that card.
On July 20th, she had asked me to take her to the doctor. I took her to the doctor. When we went to the doctor, she had gave me her coat. She took her purse in the back with her. So I don't understand how I made the charges on the 20th if she had her purse with her in the back by the doctor's office.
I don't want to know what you can understand. I want to know how your number was used to make these unauthorized charges. Explain that to me.
I don't know how, because my oldest brother had gave me the $21.50 to put on the prepaid account.
Well, I don't understand it either, sir, but in July you had this number, right?
Yes, I did.
This is not something she has to deal with. This is something you have to deal with. You have to go figure out from T-Mobile resolution team, how come your phone number received the credit for all the bills that were paid that she had to pay, so that don't ask her how it happened, don't ask me how it happened, because I'm going to charge you for services that you received. Your bills got paid by her. Who was this?
My mother.
You get it?
Yes, I got it.
His bills got paid by her. He wants to know, how could it be if she took her pocketbook? I don't know. I don't care.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What you're telling me is Officer Byrd went into her wallet and took her credit card and decided to pay your son's phone bill. Do you understand how stupid that sounds?
And later today,
Sugar got sick.
No, Sugar did not get sick, Your Honor.
So you had toes and then you got a second.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marie Abrams claims her cousin, Mark Abrams, stole her debit card and used it to make several charges. Mark denies the accusation.
Now, his bills got paid. That's a very nice thing. They're his responsibility. They're his bills. He's going to pay them. You want to say something?
Yes, I do.
Good.
A lot of times when my older son would give him the money to pay the phone bill, she said, give me the money and I use my credit card. She wrote down a lot of information for him to use her credit card to pay these phone bills. She would go overdraft and pay other people's phone bills with her credit card and try to blame my son for it. And I believe my son would not do that.
Listen to me, madam. He received the credit by having his bills paid by her. Do you understand?
I understand.
Do you
Why would she
understand?
leave her purse
Listen to
laying
me.
around?
Listen to me. Why does she leave her purse laying around?
Yeah, she left it laying around with it unzipped, and people can go in her house and pick it up, pick anything out of her purse in her room. Everybody goes in and out of her house.
The apple don't fall. How many children did you make?
5.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Just wait a second.
He doesn't know nothing about what went on my son
Listen
right
to
now.
me. I want you to try to clear your brain, if you can, and listen to the logic of what you're saying. She left her pocketbook lying around in the doctor's office, in her house. Anybody could have picked up the card. She is only charging him with the charges that were actually made that benefited him. His phone bill, his expenses. He should pay that, not her, right? Now, if what you're telling me is she left her pocketbook around and Officer Byrd went into her wallet and took her credit card and decided to pay your son's phone bill. Do you understand how stupid that sounds? Now you can sit down.
Thank you.
You think she got that?
I think so.
I certainly hope so. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all. Step out.
Pardon's excuse. You may step out.
My cousin's always accusing me of doing things that I didn't do.
Says she loaned her car to neighbor Rhonda Davis, and it came back damaged. Rhonda claims in her countersuit she owes her money for a missing gold ring.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 240 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I'm going to try to make this rather complicated case as simple as I can. You are not related to each other, even though you have the same last name.
No.
You are neighbors.
Yes.
She borrowed your car.
Yes, she did.
And it was involved in some sort of a traffic accident, and it was damaged.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes, I do.
She says that while you were babysitting for her, jewelry was stolen from her house. So she's countersuing you for the jewelry. She said, therefore, she doesn't have to pay for the car. Is that this case?
Yes, it is.
So at least we have one thing that's a given. You damaged her car.
Yes.
Now, in what month, date and month, did you damage her car? And you don't know this right off the top?
July 12th, Your Honor.
No, I don't.
July 12th is when you borrowed the car.
Yes.
How was it damaged? Tell me.
I was damaged on the on the driver's door.
And how did you do that?
I didn't do it. A car hit her car while I was parked.
So she says, Your Honor.
Whatever. You weren't there.
Right.
But it was damaged while it was in your control.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not covered by insurance.
No, it's not.
Why did you let her borrow your car?
Because she asked me if she can borrow my car to go to the grocery store.
That's not true.
And I said, do you have a driver's license? And she said yes. And I let her drive my car. When she left, my car was a brand new car.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
She's acknowledging
Okay.
that the car was damaged
And-
while it was under her control. Did you have a driver's license?
No, I did not.
Why? Why did you use her car without having a driver's license?
She sent her daughter to come get me, to go to Lucky's, to go get some milk and cereal for her daughter because she was sick.
Your Honor.
I did her a favor.
Your Honor. She asked me to use my car. The first question I asked her, before I even answered her, was, do you have a driver's license?
That's not true.
She said yes.
Shh. Just a second. Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I had got the car in May, and I moved in June. I guess my insurance papers, from what the car dealership told me, went to my old address. Being that I didn't get them in time, they pinned it because I only had it a month after I got my car.
They're all, so far, you both sound very responsible. No insurance, no driver's license. It's a perfect match.
Okay.
All right. Now, when allegedly was this jewelry stolen and how? What month?
It was stolen August 23rd.
All right. 8/23. Now, between July 12th, when the car was damaged, and August 23rd, why didn't you pay her for the damage?
Because, for one thing, when after the accident had happened, okay, I came straight to Rolanda, and I said, Rolanda, someone had hit your car. We came out, we looked at the car. She said, Rhonda, don't worry about it. It's not that much damage. It could have happened to me if I'd have had your car. She said, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Come on now.
Shh.
All right.
And so?
And so that was it, okay? August 23rd was my birthday. We needed a babysitter.
Just a minute. So are you telling me that between July 12th, when our car was damaged, and August 23rd, there was no other discussion about paying for the car?
None. None.
Okay. You say there was?
Yes, there was.
When was there?
When she came back, when she pulled back into the parking lot, and I came outside and seen my car, and I'm just shaking my head, and she was like, Rolanda, I'm going to help you fix your car. She said she's been knowing people who can fix my car, Your Honor. She said she's been knowing people, and I'll come to her door, I'll ask for some time. I'll be like, have you talked to someone?
No,
and she'll be like, yeah, I know somebody who will fix the car.
Okay.
You know, and then she got mad when I was like, I'm not going to fix your car.
Who are you?
I'm her witness and roommate. We live together. When she was at the store, I was at Rolanda's house sitting, waiting for her because the store is not very far from where we stay at. Okay, when she came back, all three of us walked out where the car is parked at in front of our apartment building, and we looked at the car. You know, I was looking like, where's the dent, you know? And it was very small, like maybe if someone opened their door and maybe hit the car or something like that, that's what it looked like. To me, it wasn't major
I'm
at
going
all.
to see pictures of it. I assume the pictures are
It
here.
wasn't
Yes, I
major
do
at all.
have my
So-
pictures to prove that they're not little itty bitty dents.
I have pictures
I have
too.
some. I have some damages that.
Just a shut.
Okay.
That's certainly not an itty-bitty dent.
No, and that wasn't the dent that was in that car. Neither. Her car had been hit 3 times since that accident.
Well, when did you take pictures of it?
Maybe about 2 weeks ago when I knew that she was following this.
Just a second. 2 weeks ago this happened? 3
July
months
the
ago?
12th, Your
Yes,
Honor.
but
My case
I didn't know
is-
she was going to file no suit against me or anything like this.
When were these pictures taken?
Those pictures were taken 3 days ago.
3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Not interested in these pictures?
Well,
I
have
want to
an
see the
estimate.
estimate
Okay. I have
right
an
after
estimate,
July
Your Honor.
12th.
I have an estimate, Your Honor, proving how much my driver's door does not open. My window is broken.
That window was in that car.
It has been rain, and my car, the door, it's rain, it's mildew stains inside of my car.
Your husband
Just a
broke the
minute.
window.
Hey! This damage report is 2.5 months after this incident.
Yes. Okay. Your Honor, I'm telling the guys all the truth. She damaged my car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that.
And later today,
Whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rolanda Davis says after she loaned her car to her neighbor, 36-year-old Rhonda Davis, she returned it with extensive damage. Rhonda admits the car was wrecked, but says Rolanda stole a gold ring from her home, making them even.
She acknowledges she damaged your car. You do not have an estimate within a day, a two, a week after the accident.
Right.
$1,500 is practically what they charge just to look at a car. One of these car doctors. They come out in a white coat and they look at it. The looking costs $1,500. So we're not talking about a lot of money. The damage that you caused to the car was at least probably $1,500.
Yes.
If they have to pull it out, they have to repaint it, they have to buff it out. You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So $1,500 she's entitled to for the car. Now, you have to prove to me that she took your jewelry. Prove it.
Only way that I can prove it is that when we got ready to leave, okay, when I got to the club, okay, Jocelyn noticed that my jewelry was gone. What I did, I immediately got on the phone. I called Rolanda. I said, I dialed my number. Rolanda answered my phone. She said, hello. I said, Rolanda, this is Rhonda. First thing I said, how's the kids? She said, everything okay. I said, Rolanda, I left my rings on top of the TV. Can you please go get them for the kids won't mess with them? She said, okay. I said, I'm going to hold on until you do this, okay? I was holding on the phone. Whether Rolanda went in my room to check to see was the rings there or not, I was holding on. She came back to the phone. She said, okay, I got them. I said, okay, everything's okay? She said, yes. I hung up the phone. When I returned home, I say approximately maybe about 2:30, close to 2:45. Immediately as I walked in my door, I seen my table, the glass was broke, okay? Then Rolanda said, the window in the room is broke. I said, the room window. So I goes in the room and I pulls the curtain back. The whole window is busted out, okay? A family heirloom that I had from my grandmother that's passed, that was broke, okay? My rings was missing, all in one night.
Okay. What happened?
She called, and she did tell me that her ring was somewhere in her room. She did say that she would hold while I go in the room. I did not go in that room because I didn't want to be responsible for nothing coming up
Just
missing.
a second.
Okay.
Stop you right there.
All right.
She called. She said, I'll hold on.
I sat the phone down.
Just a second.
Okay.
She said, I'll hold on while you go inside and get my rings because I don't want the kids. That's what she said to you.
Right.
And you did what?
And I sat the phone down and sat there. I did not come back and reply to her, I got them.
Yes, you did.
Oh, sure you did.
Yes, you did. That's what the reason
Sure you did.
holding on.
Okay.
No, that's why I was, oh, excuse me.
No.
Excuse
Hey,
me.
oh, sure you did.
She is lying. No, I did not. My mother is right here.
Let me tell you why you did. Let me tell you why you did. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for you to have then walked back and said, I don't have the rings. I'm sorry. You put the phone down. You said, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. You picked the phone up. You said, got him.
I didn't say got him.
What did you say?
I told her I was not going in her room because I wasn't going to be responsible.
No, you didn't.
That's what I said.
Oh, you please
I didn't
give me a
leave
break.
out that living room.
Give.
Your Honor,
You got
that
my
is
rings.
the truth. I didn't leave out the living room.
Oh, I believe it.
I stayed
How you
right
know the
next door
bedroom
to
window
her.
was
Listen to
broke?
me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Either way,
Okay.
you're responsible. She's absolutely right. Either way, you're responsible. She called you.
That's what
You
I
were
did.
babysitting for her children. She said, I left my rings. Please go inside and secure them. Instead of doing that, You copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that. You took the phone, put it down, waited a minute, picked it up and said, I got him.
That's what she did.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sure you did. Tell me what rings were missing.
This is the rings right here. I have the things from the rings and everything. They're not even finished paying for. Here's everything for the rings. It's the ones that's
a room at all.
That's your problem.
Circled.
Then you lied.
Here's
No,
my
I didn't.
stuff
Oh, sure you did.
For my table.
Oh, sure you did.
I got the
How?
window fixed, but not the table.
How,
but
Your
this
Honor?
is
How did you lie?
Yeah.
You lied because you told her I got the rings.
No,
Here
I
we go,
didn't.
right
Oh, I
never
believe you
told her
did.
that.
Listen, I may be wrong. I was wrong once in 1950. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure I was wrong
And
once
this
in
day
1950.
too, Your Honor, because I didn't say that to her.
Quiet!
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
This case is going to turn out to be a wash, you know. Because I believe that you should have paid for the car, for the damage to the car. I believe that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Miss Attitude over here decided that she was tired of asking you to pay for the car and made things sort of even. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Your countersuit is dismissed because they're just for about the same amount of money. The loss of the rings, the damage to her car, it's a wash.
With me.
That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Penda versus Crane. Step forward, please.
55-year-old engineering assistant Dee Pender says she bought a computer for 43-year-old Robert Crane while the two were dating. Robert claims he knows nothing about it.
While you and the defendant were dating, you claimed that you bought a computer for him, he agreed to pay you for the computer, stopped dating, and he hasn't paid you for the computer.
Right.
That's simple?
Right.
He says he doesn't know what you're talking about. You never bought him a computer. He doesn't know about a computer. Is that right?
Correct.
Interesting. So, how long were you dating before you bought him this computer, and tell me why you did in the first place?
Probably about 4 months I was dating him, and he was over that night, and we had talked about that I might get a computer. And I was on the phone, and he came in, and he says, "Oh, you're ordering a computer?" And I said, "Yeah." He says,
that's not right.
"Could,
Not sure.
do you think I could get one too?" And I said, "Well, I'll ask." So I asked, and she said, "You can buy as many as you want."
Well, where were you ordering these from?
Through my company that I work for.
Were you getting a good deal on them?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Yes, uh-huh.
Go ahead.
They offered them to the employees only. And she said, yes, I could get as many as I wanted. I said, okay. He says, well, put it on your charge for me, and I'll pay you back next month. Fact is, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. And I went, shh, wait till I'm done. So I finished ordering 2 computers and got off the phone. He says, yeah, he says, I'll pay the whole bill off. Everything on your bill I'll pay off. Yours and mine and anything else that's on there. He said, I make plenty of money. He said, no problem. And I said, no, you pay what you owe me. I pay my own bills.
How much was the computer that you bought for him?
In the end, by the time we got everything on there was $1,943.55. That's what it finally came to.
Okay.
So he comes over and he says, I make $15,000 a month. Here's my check stub. I'll show you. And I looked and I went, whoa. And he says, yeah, I make plenty of money. Don't worry, I'll pay the whole thing. I said, no, just pay your bill. That's all I want. And so the bill came in, and he says, well, the next month, he says, I'm a little short of cash. Can I just make the payment this time? He said, actually, I'll pay it when my tax check comes in. He said, that'll be in the next week. And I said, okay. I said, you know, pay $100 on this. Okay. So
Did he give you $100?
Yes. Yes, he paid me $100.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have the computers been delivered?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They were delivered the next month.
Did you talk to him about his computer?
Oh, yeah. He said, yeah, he liked it. He thought it was great.
What kind was it?
A Micron? Micron, I believe. Here it is right here.
Okay. And which credit card did you put it on?
My Citibank Visa.
Okay.
There's a little note here that he left tagged on my car after he moved out in the middle of the night in his handwriting saying, I will pay you. He put this on my car. I put the date up there of the day he left it on my car.
Let me have it, please. Yes. I'm listening.
Yes, ma'am. As far as this computer, she'd called me and said she purchased a computer. And as far as another computer, I know nothing about it. I was very shocked on this lawsuit that she served me. I was very shocked. I was very shocked. And thing I did, I finally had to move because all she did was call me every night. She wanted to pursue this relationship. Hey, I didn't want to hear anything else about it. So I finally had to move because we lived in the same complex. I did not need to hear any more of this
if you can't
from her.
be quiet, you have to leave. Do you understand?
So the only thing I can see is she's very distressed that she couldn't pursue this relationship.
So you think she bought these 2 computers that are clearly on her bill for somebody else, or maybe she just wanted 2 computers for herself?
Possibly. As far as that, the only thing I knew, she called me up, she said, oh, I bought a computer. Oh, you did? Okay, fine.
If there would be a copy of a check that you gave her for $100, what would that be for?
It would be for some stamps that I purchased from her for a mail order business that she was going into, that I paid her for.
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
I'm not full of
You're a very quick thinker. I don't have a check for $100, a copy of a check.
But still,
I just wanted to figure out, to see what your answer would be if you thought I had a copy of a check.
That's what it would have been for.
Oh, God. Must be smoking something real good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
$1,943.55 is what your Visa bill shows. Does very fancy footwork. Ms. Pender, you're very lucky that whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him, whoever it was, you're very lucky.
Yes.
Earth to Mr. Crane. You can't pull the wool over everybody's eyes all the time, sir.
I'm sorry.
What were the interest charges since this purchase was made? His interest charges, we're going to give him credit for the $100, even though he now says it's for stamps.
And also lost wages because same time he moved, his company moved. And it took me 2 days to find out where they were.
You're going to, listen, you're going to chalk that up to experience.
Okay.
All I want to know is the interest. It's $320.
She had a business card all along.
$21.63, right?
Got there.
That's what I got there. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,163.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm the daughter, and I know the whole story. And I'll tell you, when you're born to lie and you do it well, you can get through life, and he is proof of that.
No. Yeah, they're just ganging up on me. That's why I'm by myself. So, hey.
Of selling unauthorized photographs of him to his fans.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, it's number 92 on the calendar in the matter of Buzzini versus Moniz. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Buzzini, you say that the defendant has in his possession pictures of you and has been selling them and is not authorized to have them or sell them. You want $5,000 in damages.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why don't you tell me how he came into possession of these pictures and why you think that you're damaged to the tune of $5,000?
Well, Your Honor, my wife had arranged a public appearance with the defendant. I was to appear, and what I was promoting at the time was a couple posters that I had and also a calendar which I'd worked on. It was a project of 2 years. This is one of the pictures that will be in question. The agreement was to appear for approximately 2 hours, which was fine, and I would be signing autographs of the posters, and that's all that I was aware of at the time.
Signing the posters? Posters,
correct.
You are Are you a model by trade, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And I do have a portfolio here. This is my livelihood. And
Okay. And Mr. Muniz? Muniz, you have a store that's called Baby Jane's of Hollywood?
Yes.
What kind of store is this?
Celebrity collectibles.
And how do you make your money?
Normally selling stills and posters and autographs. We have autograph sessions a couple times a year.
And is this one of those autograph sessions that
Yes.
he arranged for?
Mrs. Bazzini came to us to carry his posters, and she wanted to sell us all the posters. We don't normally stock non-movie posters. So what we agreed with her was we would give him 100% of the money for the poster sales as long as he would sign the other photographs that we had, which were from a Playgirl layout from 1985. He was Man of the Year. But we asked if she could supply us with another photo that was current and that he had clothes on, that we could use with the press, and that he could sign at the event.
How many photographs were you supposed to get for you to sell in exchange for letting him come in and sign his posters and sell them?
We printed 50 of each image. There are 3 images.
So you had 150
Yes.
altogether that was supposed to be your property, and you were supposed to keep 100% of the revenues from those?
No, he would get $5 for every signature that he put onto a photo. And if people came in with their own items, like their copies of Playgirl, he would get $5 for that also.
Your Honor, the defendant had mentioned to me prior to me arriving, would you object to signing other photographs if people brought them along? And I said, no, I'll accommodate that, and that's no problem.
Is that relevant?
Yes, it is.
How?
Because halfway during not even halfway during, they started bringing pictures that was this picture, which I had no idea at the time that was printed up. This was not to be printed up. This is a project, Your Honor, that is in progress. I have not sold this yet.
Who started bringing those pictures?
Some of the fans that were lining up had a couple. There wasn't many. Most of them were the Playgirl, which I really didn't know that was going to happen either. That they would.
Well, they had to get that picture from someplace, sir.
Well, they got it from Mr. Moniz, which I didn't understand.
How did he get that?
I gave him, not this particular picture, a larger, I believe, 11 by 14 print. My wife brought it to him to advertise that I would be there on January 11th. Your Honor, this is my livelihood. I'll just
Mr.
give you,
Bazzini, I'm trying
I'll
to
give you
understand.
an example.
No, don't give me an example. I'm not.
Well, this is.
Listen to me.
Okay, ma'am.
Put it down. Put it down.
I'm trying to show you my work, what I do for a lot of money, my livelihood, to raise my children and my family.
Mr. Bazzini, this is a court, sir. Evidently, from your papers, and he acknowledges that you signed a bunch of them quickly, and he kept some of them. Is that correct?
No, there were. He was paid for everything that he signed. There were leftover unsigned ones. So in the interim between the December appearance and today, probably 5 photos have been sold that were unsigned.
And how much did you sell them for?
$15.
A piece?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bazzini, that's what this lawsuit is about. Those, let us just say they were 5.
Even if it's 1, yes.
Okay. I want you to explain to me how you were damaged for $5,000.
Your Honor, if I can physically show you the type of work that I've done that has brought me this commercial reel that I have is
Mr.
$1 million.
Bazzini, this is not an opportunity for you to impress me with your work, sir.
No.
Well, I want you to explain to me how you're damaged. You sat at a desk, sir, and signed for $5 a piece the same pictures that he sold unsigned for $15 a piece. So it's not as if you didn't give away those pictures or sell those pictures when you were sitting there. So I don't understand where you come to $5,000, sir.
Ma'am, when I have a letter here, if you will, from my agent that explains what I make per image. My agreement with Mr. Moniz was entirely to promote something, correct? It was.
Just a minute, Mr. Bazzini, you're not following me. This is not a situation where they're invading your privacy, that they're using unauthorized pictures of you, that they're doing something in an underhanded fashion They had some leftover pictures. You shouldn't have done that. You acknowledge, sir, that you shouldn't have sold those pictures. That wasn't part of your agreement.
Well, in movie memorabilia, that's what everything is the leftover pictures from press kits. And
I know, but was it your understanding with his wife that you could keep those?
I understood that we could. If it was a problem, he's more than... I mean, we could love to
Who are
destroy
you? You want to
photos
say
for
something?
I'm the co-owner of Baby
This
Jane
is
of Hollywood.
Roy Wyndham.
Yes.
And our entire agreement with Mr. Bazzini appearing was through his wife. We never once talked to Mr. Bazzini on the phone before the signing.
That's a lie.
I kept asking the wife, actually talking to a machine, saying that we need a current photograph for the day of the signing, and we needed a current photograph of him so we could advertise it, because the photograph that we had was him nude. And we can't advertise those in local newspapers.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I think your ego maybe is a little too big. You know, our story is Baby Jane of Hollywood, not Brian Bazzini of Hollywood.
And later today,
I don't think that once you pass the age of 2 or 3, you ought to show your rear end in public. So you keep the photographs.
Yes, I will.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 34-year-old model Brian Bazzini is suing the owner of Baby Janes of Hollywood, Charles Muniz, for selling unauthorized photographs. Mr. Muniz says it was an oversight and not done out of malice.
We're talking about the leftover pictures, pictures that you made extra of that were not used at the signing.
Correct.
That he is angry about because he said he was not paid for those pictures.
We paid for everything to be printed. We paid for everything to be made. And when he came in, everything was available for customers to purchase that day. And he saw the quantity that we had of each. And the remainder was there to be sold.
Well, but that's what he's saying. He's saying it was not his understanding that the remainder was going to stay with you to be sold. Is that what you're complaining
Honor,
about?
I didn't even know that these pictures existed. And if you could put yourself in the situation, you have
Where's
100
your
people
wife?
in line.
Where's your wife?
My wife was with my children.
Just a second.
She was 9 months pregnant.
Where's your wife
at the time.
today?
Today she's with my daughter at the doctor.
Mr. Bazzini.
Well, I think
You want to tell me what doctor it is? I'll give him a call.
Oh, I don't know.
Huh? I'm good at that. You want to tell me what doctor? Your wife was there, and your wife was the one who negotiated with these people what they were supposed to do. We haven't. Why don't you sit down?
I have a picture here that he saw, and this is a photograph that he's complaining about. They autographed to me the day of the signing, so he knew that we had available in the store. He knew they were sold.
Your Honor, after the
he wrote
fact,
on there,
I'm sitting there with 100 people in
the
line.
hospitality.
Sit down, sir.
Your
We're
Honor,
reaching a point, sir, where I'm getting frustrated because...
I'm getting frustrated also. I have 100 people in line. I can't stop it. I'll look like a damn prima donna. Pardon me. I look like a prima donna. I mean, what am I supposed to do? These pictures are starting to come. It's my understanding that I'm selling posters. I've traveled all over the world, and if you'd allow me to show you something, I could give you an idea of what I make.
Sir,
I make $5,000
This is not an opportunity
per appearance. Not $5. I was doing that more as a favor and to get something circulated.
Mr. Bazzini,
with a new,
you're full of baloney. Let me tell you why you're full of baloney, sir.
I've got letters.
Let me tell you why you're full of baloney, sir.
There.
You're full of baloney, A, because your wife entered into these negotiations. You did not. Your wife is not here today. There's a reason for it, and it's not because she's with the doctor with your child. 2, you still haven't told me today why you believe you're entitled to $5,000. Your complaint is that he sold the pictures without your autograph, 5 of them, and you say that you're damaged to the tune of $5,000 when you sat there yourself and signed the same pictures for $5 a piece.
Can I clarify something?
Go ahead.
I questioned it the first time this picture was presented to me to sign. I said, this is a project. I don't want this picture out. That's like revealing the cover of your book to the public before people see it. I questioned it. They said it's for a few of your wonderful fans or your best fans. Somebody said that, and I said, how do you define who's the best fan here? And I said, okay, fine. I mean, I'm sitting there in front of a bunch of people, ma'am. I don't want to make a ruckus.
Just a second. So you said, okay, fine, and you signed them.
The alternative was to walk out. Does that make me look? That doesn't make me look too great in front of people that sat in line for
me,
Your Honor.
Sir.
I mean,
that's your option. If they presented you with pictures and you didn't want to sign them, you could have said, I'm not signing those. I'm just signing my posters, or I'll sign the photographs that people come with.
Well, that's good publicity.
Fine. You sold 5 pictures of him?
Yes.
And you sold them for $15 a piece?
Yes. Ma'am, can I just show you a letter from my agent?
No.
to give you an idea. I mean,
Absolutely not. I'm not
I
interested in a letter from your
work
agent.
here that is billboards all over the world for 5, 10, 20 grand.
Mr.
And
Buzzini, how much did you make for the...
present that.
Hey,
Pardon me?
how much did you make for the whole day?
Somewhere around $700-800.
That's not $5,000, sir. So it seems that at least on some occasions you work for less than $5,000 a day. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $75, which is the amount of the 5 pictures, the most that you sold. Fares of $15 a piece. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
No witness. If everybody could just take a damn picture of me, then I guess I wouldn't have much of a profession. That's like having vigilantes do the work for Judge Judy. Guess she'd be out of a job, wouldn't she? Might be a good idea.
And now the next case.
Parties on McKenzie versus Cooper. Step forward, please.
62-year-old Betty McKenzie says 72-year-old Lonnie Cooper knocked her to the floor while she was in line at her bank. Lonnie says it was Betty who did the shoving.
So you two people are online in a bank. You never saw each other before, is that right?
That's right.
You say this nice gentleman over here assaulted you. He says that you assaulted him. I can hardly believe that, looking at the two of you. So, Miss McKenzie, let me hear your version of what happened at this bank.
Okay. He was on my right.
You're online?
Yes, I'm in the line. He was on the right.
What was he doing on the right?
He was at a teller.
He was at the teller?
He was at the teller.
So he was in front of you and to the right?
That's right. I was getting ready, the man was getting ready to come out to teller on my left. The man dropped a piece of paper.
Which man dropped a piece of paper?
The man that was coming out the teller on my left.
So what happened?
I told him he dropped a piece of paper. He said, forget it. And he walked on out the door. The man on my right, he gonna come in front of me to pick up the piece of paper with his right hand.
That's this gentleman?
Yes. And take his left hand and knock me to the floor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The lawyer thought you were going to be able to get a lot of money from the bank. And it wasn't the bank's fault because Mr. Cooper had bad manners.
Yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 62-year-old Betty McKenzie says while standing in line at her bank, 72-year-old Lonnie Cooper knocked her to the floor. Mr. Cooper denies any wrongdoing and claims Ms. McKenzie was the one who caused the disturbance.
Mr. Cooper?
Yeah. In the first place, it was on the right-hand side of the teller, and the fellow, the elderly gentleman in front of me, dropped most of his stuff, and I reached down to try to help him, and she pushed on past, and I did this to her. I didn't know what it was, and in turn, she wound up over in there.
What do you mean, Mr. Cooper? She brushed on past you.
Well, she was behind me, so she didn't have no business in front of me.
Just a second. What do you mean she brushed on past you, Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, just like that. And
who is this?
It's a witness.
Is that your witness?
Character witness.
I'm not interested in a character witness. I assume that you're both characters. Because anybody who can get involved in this has got to be a character. Now listen to me. You stand up for a second. I want you to show me how she brushed on past you.
Come on. See
You're her. So tell me, show me what she did to you.
The elderly gentleman was up front.
Right.
And I was here and trying to help him with his stuff.
Right.
And then she come past me, and I shoved her like that, and she went over into the...
Right.
See, she was behind me.
I understand that, sir. Mr. Cooper, step back to where the microphone is. Sit down. Mr. Cooper, why did you push her?
She came, brushed past. I told you I was standing in front trying to help the fella, which the paper was on the floor.
Why did you push her?
I didn't push. She came past just like that.
No, you pushed her. You just told me that you pushed her.
But it was on the right-hand side.
I don't care if right, left, middle. It doesn't make any difference, Mr. Cooper. You pushed this lady down. You had no right to do that, sir.
Well?
Yes, that's what you told me. You told me that you pushed her. And she fell. She's not 12 years old. You pushed the lady, she fell down.
Go around pushing women.
Well, but you did push her,
if she
sir.
had acted like a lady and stayed in line like she's supposed to, this would never be happening.
Mr. Cooper, you are not a... Shh.
Order.
Mr. Cooper, you are not a behavior monitor. A bank behavior monitor. If she did something wrong, you might have said something to her, but you had no right to push her. Now, Miss McKenzie, my question to you is
I didn't intend to push her. I wouldn't have to push her if she had stayed back there where she was supposed to be.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Cooper. You're not following me, sir.
Okay.
Miss McKenzie, you say you were injured.
Yes,
How were
I
you
was.
injured, madam?
Like I said, he pushed me to the floor hard. My ear, my back, my legs, I got photos of it.
Can I see it, please? Ooh, that's nasty. That's just between you and me, okay? Do you have doctor's reports?
Yes, I do.
May I see them, please? I don't think that once you pass the age of 2 or 3, you ought to show your rear end in public. I mean, that's a... So you keep the photographs.
Yes, I will.
How will she get past me if I'm in front of her?
Mr. Cooper, stop being a nudnik.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You had medical bills of $2,645?
That's one of them.
When did this incident occur? What date?
The 4th of March.
This wouldn't have happened if she had been a lady and stayed back there where she was supposed to be, but she wanted to be bullheaded.
Mr. Cooper, she has a lot of medical bills here, and you did the wrong thing. You have medical bills that are about $3,000, $4,000. Were any of them reimbursed by your insurance?
No.
Why not?
I had got a lawyer at first, but he had thought it was the bank. And then when he found out it wasn't the bank, then I
he
had to take
dropped
it
you.
on my... Yes.
Don't you have medical insurance?
I had Medicaid.
Did you submit these bills to Medicaid?
No, well, my doctor had told me not to do that.
Your doctor told you not to do that because your lawyer thought he was going to be able to work up a big medical bill so that you were going to be able to get a lot of money from the bank. Right. And it wasn't the bank's fault
No,
because Mr. Cooper had bad manners.
Yeah.
But I think, Mr. Cooper, that what you did to this lady was wrong, and she suffered for months as a result of your pushing her. She's suing for $5,000. That's what I'm giving her, $5,000, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It appears that this lady was just trying to get money, and that's exactly what she got. And if her, she takes that much.
I have 2 witnesses.
No, it's just another example of people just ripping you off.
I'm through.
Your Honor, this is case number 107 on the calendar in the matter of Kennedy versus Gadanian. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
All right, well, this is an interesting story. Miss Kennedy, you had a beauty salon that was there prior to the defendant's business moving right next door. Is that right?
His business was actually there, but he just bought it. There was the first owner there when I moved in.
But he was not there
Right.
when you moved in.
Right.
You have a beauty salon. He has a...
Paging and cellular service business.
Okay. And according to your complaint, you were in this salon for about 6 months when the defendant approached you and said that he was interested in expanding his space.
Right. I was in there for a year, and he had been in there about 6 months when he approached me.
Okay, so after a year, he approached you and said...
He pulled me aside on the front porch and said, "Can we talk for a few minutes?" I said, "Sure." He said that he was, wanted to know how long I intended on being in my space.
And how long was your lease, Miss Kennedy?
I didn't have a lease. I was month to month. But I did plan on being there for quite some time.
How much was the rent on it?
$525 a month.
Okay. So the defendant approached you, according to your papers, and said, "I'm interested in expanding my business. Would you like to move?"
Right.
And you said what?
I said I had no intentions of leaving. Then he said I would be willing to compensate you to leave, move your business elsewhere. And I said, you know, let me think about it for a little while, and I'll get back to you. But I really had no intentions at the time of leaving. I had only been there a year.
So?
So I said, let me think about it. 2 days later, I came back to him, and I said, yeah, I think I want to take up your offer. I think that instead of moving someplace else, I'm just going to, go to work for someone else. The market's really hard to find someone in my business right now, and, I would love to just work for someone else for a while. And I said, I need enough money to pay my bills.
What bills?
The loans that I had on the salon. I had one from the bank, and I borrowed a couple $1,000s from my husband's parents.
So how much did you ask him for?
$3,000 was the agreed amount.
And did he agree to giving you $3,000 if you would move?
Yes.
So he was really buying you out of your space, according to you.
Basically, right.
And what happened, according to your papers,
right,
which I read very carefully, was that eventually you were told that when he went to negotiate his lease with the landlord, he said to him, I'll give you half of what she was paying in rent.
Right.
The landlord said, absolutely not.
Right. He then came next door to me and said the deal's not going to go through, but by then I had already given my girls notice and found another place.
How many employees did you have?
I had 2 girls at the time.
Okay. Ultimately, you did move into that space, sir, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you didn't give her the $3,000?
There was no agreement about $3,000, Your Honor.
Well, I'd like to hear your version of what happened.
Okay, I'll be happy to. Actually, she's right. I approached her. We casually asked her what her plans are, and told her about my intentions to move. I need a larger place. And at that point, she says, well, I've been thinking of moving. My business is not doing well. And I'll give you an answer. I got to talk it over with my husband. I'll give you an answer. And then a couple days later, she approached me and said, yes, indeed, I've talked it over, and I've decided to move. And she asked me for compensation. I said, Tracy, this is not, the right time to talk about anything at all.
No.
I don't even know.
No. Just a sec. Shh. Ms. Kennedy. Shh.
I don't even know if I can reach an agreement with the landlord. So please let me talk to the landlord, see if I can reach any agreement with him. And then if there is anything to talk about with you, we'll talk about it.
That doesn't sound right to me, sir.
No, that's not what happened.
Just a second. That doesn't sound logical to me, sir. So what you're telling me is the amount of $3,000, that figure, never came up in your discussion with her?
She threw that number at me.
Okay.
I'm not
so
denying
it did.
that.
So
Yes.
it did come up in your discussion. And you asked her if she would like to relocate because you wanted to expand your business.
That's not in the context it came up, though, Your Honor.
Well, you did, in fact, expand your business into her space.
That's correct, yes.
So this is what we have so
Yes.
far. We have your discussion with her about your wanting to expand, her throwing out a figure, which you acknowledge that she threw out a figure of $3,000. Your statement, well, it's not a good time to talk about it now. I have to talk to the landlord first. Now, did you speak to the landlord?
Yes.
And what was that conversation with the landlord, sir?
At that point, I offered a total of close to...
Not a total. I'm not interested in total. I'm interested in what you are telling me under oath that you offered the landlord for her store to rent.
I did not offer landlord a particular price for her space. I
offered for total.
For total.
Oh, okay.
My
We're going to
space.
get... I understand.
Okay. I'm sorry.
How much were you paying for your store alone, sir?
$550, $551.
For your store alone?
That's correct, ma'am.
And what did you offer the landlord for both places?
$900.
So, in effect, you offered the landlord substantially less than what she was paying.
That's correct, yes.
After she had given notice that she was leaving.
That's correct, yes.
So now you got the landlord by the throat.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Honestly, I had no participation in her moving out.
I'm going to give him a copy of my book.
And later today,
he advertised our show as Playboy Girls of Rock, as Playboy. And they were going to see a bunch of beautiful women in bras and panties.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tracy Kennedy says she moved out of her manicurist salon because Bijan Gidanian promised her $3,000. She says he never paid her and the whole deal was a scam.
The landlord has a tenant that's given him notice. He's got somebody else ready to move in right away. And you were going to get a bargain because you were going to get 2 stores for $900. Was your store the same size as his?
Bigger.
Bigger. So you were going to get her store for $400. You were paying $550 for yours, so the landlord said to you at that point, forget it, right?
Your Honor.
At that, just a second. We understand each other, this gentleman and I.
Glad someone does.
We understand each other, so don't we?
Yes,
So the
Your Honor.
landlord said to you, forget it, at first. Then you moved out.
Right.
You moved out in June, correct?
Yes.
When did you move in?
July 1st.
And what rent did you pay?
About $950. Close to $1,000.
You're a
Let's
good
say
businessman.
$1,000.
Not let's say
No, I-
$1,000. Sir, you're a businessman. You know exactly what you pay for rent in this business. So let's not say about the $950. Exactly what do you pay in rent?
Your Honor, the only reason I say about, because the rent itself is the rent, but there are some other triple nets and what have you that figures in that I'm not quite sure. That's what I'm saying about. That's why I say about $1,000. I'm sorry?
Rent.
The rent, the base rent is $950.
Rent!
$950, Your Honor.
So you still got the landlord for a couple of bucks, but he didn't give you the lease right away. Did you sign a lease with him?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. I had a year lease with him.
And you signed another lease for the second space
That's correct, Your Honor.
at a monthly rent of $950.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So the landlord lost that. So where's her money?
There was no money agreed upon, Your Honor, to begin with. She did not have to move. Honestly, I had no participation in her moving out.
No.
All I had with her was just a casual conversation for her, what are your plans? And she acted upon that.
I'm going to give him a copy of my book. Sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
I come from an old business family. My grandfather was in the appliance business years and years ago, and he's been long dead. I adored my grandfather. He liked to call himself a shrewd businessman. Some of the people that he dealt with sort of dubbed him with another name. So I'm aware of what you did. This story has a common sense approach to it. You wanted to expand. This lady was under the impression you were going to take over the same rent that she took over. Nobody would be hurt. She had evidently had enough of being an entrepreneur, enough of being in business by herself. She said, if I can just get out with these loans, I'll go and work for somebody else. And here comes the perfect opportunity for her to do that. And it's a perfect opportunity for you to more than double your space at a lot less rent. Because once she gives notice, the landlord is up a tree. So the only one that comes out ahead in this business is you. That's smart, but not fair to Miss Kennedy. All right, not difficult. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff, who I believe, in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back door to your right, please.
I'm sorry that the judge did not see the con artist in disguise.
She saw you. Exactly.
She
If you
could
hadn't
have
made me an offer,
She could
I
have
wouldn't
stayed
have
there.
left.
She could have absolutely stayed there and
No.
forgotten about
No.
leaving.
The judge was
She had no
right.
reason to leave.
You're right. She saw the con artist. Judge Judy's the greatest.
And now the next case.
Parties on Russell versus Heinold. Step forward, please.
32-year-old entertainer Karen Russell is suing booking agent Chuck Heinold for non-payment of a performance fee. Heinold says the act wasn't what was promised.
Miss Russell, according to your complaint, you are an entertainer and have a group of entertainers that you work with. You dance and sing. You have a review kind of act. Is that right? According to your complaint, you performed in Bakersfield and you weren't paid.
That's
Is that
correct.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The defendant is not the person who didn't pay you. The club, according to these papers, stopped payment on the check.
This is true.
So why are you suing him? Who is he and why are you suing him?
This is the booking agent, Chuck Heinold. In my contract with the casino is with him representing me.
With who representing you?
Chuck Heinold representing me.
Let me see your contract. Go ahead.
And when we were doing business with Chuck, he knew at that time the type of show that we were producing. And my biggest complaint is that if we were represented properly, we probably wouldn't be in this situation.
Just a second. Miss Russell, one of the things I didn't understand from your complaint is he is your agent.
Booking agent.
He is your agent.
That's correct.
He didn't get paid. He didn't get the check from the club to give to you. So how could he give it to you? Because it was stopped.
Because he misrepresented us. The casino was not happy with the show. And basically, when I spoke to him the Friday evening, we had technical problems due to the casino's staging and equipment. He told me, don't worry, no matter what, you will be paid. If it has to come out of my pocket, you will be paid.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I'm telling you it's true. You say no, I say yes, I win, I'm the judge.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 32-year-old entertainer Karen Russell is suing booking agent Chuck Heinold for non-payment of a performance fee. Heinold says the act wasn't what was promised.
I'm reading your complaint, and I don't see anywhere in your complaint that he said, don't worry, I'll pay you even if it has to come out of my pocket.
Right. He said, don't worry, I have the balance owed to you, and I will come back on April 5th to pay you.
Well, of course, I understand that. He said he had the balance. He did, in fact, have a check, correct? He had a check from the owner of the club. The owner of the club subsequently stopped payment on the check. Is that correct, Mr. Heinold?
That's right, Your Honor. I have the check right here. I have a copy
I'll take a look
of
at the check. That's not what you said, Miss Russell. What you said to me was he told you that he would pay even if it has to come out of his pocket. That's not true.
Well, that's what
he never said
to
that.
us over the phone.
Just a second.
Okay.
He never said that because that's a very important thing. And if it was true that he said it, it would have been in your complaint.
I have a witness that he did say it. He said it to myself and the partner on the phone conversation Friday night, when I also found out that we were being represented as former Playboy playmates.
Just a second. I'll hear this witness if somebody wants to testify under oath that this man said, don't worry, I'll pay you even if it has to come out of my pocket. Who wants to testify to that? Let me ask you this question. Are you sure you want to testify to that, sir? Are you positive? Stand up here. First, tell me your name.
My name is Juan Llano.
Mr. Llano, I want you to think very carefully, sir. Are you sure that you want to testify that you heard this man say the following words? I will pay you even if it has to come out of my pocket. Did you hear that?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
When I talked to him directly the night before our last two performances.
And you're a member of this group?
Yes, I am. This is my company.
Did you ever say that to them?
No.
Why would he say that to you? You're so full of baloney, you people. Why in the world would your agent tell that to you? When he had a check in his hand from the people who you were working for.
Because I confronted him.
Confronted with what?
I confronted him because I've been in this business for about 15 years, and I know that people write bad checks.
I understand that, but you're suing the wrong person.
We're
person
suing
who
him
stopped...
for misrepresentation.
What kind of misrepresentation? How...
Former Playboy playmates when we're not.
Who did that? Flyer?
He.
Just a minute. Just a second. Did you print that flyer, Mr. Heinold?
No, ma'am, I did not.
But the casino, when I called the casino, I said, where did you get this information?
Don't tell me what the casino said to you. That's hearsay.
Okay. When I was trying to find out where this came from,
yeah,
the source went back to Chuck Heinold. They got
that's
the
hearsay,
information
madam.
from this.
That's hearsay. That's hearsay. Now, you may have been upset with that, but that's not misrepresentation.
Your Honor.
By him. He did not, unless you can establish to me that he actually printed those flyers and sent them out. That's not misrepresentation.
Your Honor.
What?
He advertised our show as Playboy Girls of Rock, as Playboy. And they were going to see a bunch of beautiful women in bras and panties. That's not our show at all. We have a very classy show. For us to come into the casino and see outside the casino is a huge sign in neon saying Playmates.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Why didn't you leave? If you were unhappy with the promotion, you got there.
We didn't know about the promotion until after the second show.
The problem was, nipping it in the bud, is they were unhappy because they wanted to see the bras and the women, and we don't have a show like that.
You're wasting my time.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You're wasting my time. You're suing the wrong person.
That's not true. He's
Oh,
responsible.
I'm telling you it's true. You say no, I say yes, I win,
Judge,
I'm the judge.
I know.
You are suing the wrong person.
Judge
he
Judy,
did
what
not
about...
pay. He does not pay you. The club pays you. They cannot, after you work, and you did work for the 4 shows, they cannot give you a check and then stop payment on the check. That's against the law. It's not his check. You don't mind if you don't speak, do you?
No, I'm fine.
Your lawsuit's dismissed. Go sue the right person. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Honor.
Out the back door to your right, please.
That's
Sir.
ridiculous.
And on the next Judge Judy.
And if you would have not have lied and said, we are Playboy Playmates, the owner came to me specifically and said, well, where's the play? We got people walking up to us thinking we were Playboy. Do I look like a Playboy Playmate? No, and I am not. I have worked so hard in this business to be who I am and to do well. And agents like you who lie and deceive and rip off artists who are just trying to, I worked for weeks. And for what? To not get paid?
You did get your commission,
and
right,
you got
Chuck?
your commission. Yes,
you did put it in your
You are
pocket.
such a liar. You are such a double-headed,
That's all what we
two-faced
have to
liar.
say.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Rigos versus Gomez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Don't cry yet. I haven't started. Okay, before we start, Miss Rigos, relax. Mr. Gomez, you were engaged to be married to Miss Rigos' mother. Is that right?
That's true, yes.
Lived together for a while?
Yes, we were.
And unfortunately,
About 4 years.
Unfortunately, she died very suddenly and at a young age. She was 52, according to your complaint. The plaintiff is her daughter, and she says that there's certain property of her mother's that she wants that's in your possession. Is that what this case is about?
Yes. And $5,000, I understand. And $5,000?
Not in $5,000.
I'm not interested in the money, Your Honor.
No, she says she just wants the property back. That was her mother's. Ms. Rigos, I read Mr. Gomez's answer to your complaint. And I must tell you that based upon his answer, I haven't spoken to him yet, he seems like a very nice man.
I don't doubt that.
And my sense from reading his answer is that he loved your mother very much.
I did, very much, yes.
What are these things that you want of your mother's?
Well, in the beginning, it was mainly just, you know, certain momentums that been in the family a long time.
He gave you back most of the things, or many of the things that were your mother's.
He came over, he didn't give me personally, he came over to my brother's house a month and a half ago, and it was just a couple of boxes with her shoes, 2 bags of clothes, which is not even a hole in the closet with my mom, because she loved clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And old pictures that my mother had from when we were young in our old country in Europe and Michigan when we were growing up. That's it.
What's the old country?
In Malta.
So he gave you back the mementos, those photographs and things that were irreplaceable.
He gave me those, yes. Well, he gave them to my brother.
You're the brother.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. So tell me what things you want that are your mom's.
There's just certain other things, pictures.
Tell me so that he'll know, and maybe we won't have a problem.
Well, my brother has 4 children. I have 2. And there's just certain things there that, you know, pictures, things that my kids bought, you know, their grandma, you know, for birthdays, Mother's Day.
Like what? Tell me. Because he has to know what things...
My mother was infatuated by clothes. She was a very short woman, and she loved clothes and shoes. That's what we bought her. We bought her lots of clothes, lots of shoes. Come birthday, Mother's Day, Christmas. There's certain things that my son has there that Jose has had there. It'll be 5 years this Christmas, which is a little Harley motorcycle that my sister-in-law bought my son. And my mother wanted to stay there for a couple months, and it lasted there all these years. And my son called him in April and asked him if he could get it. And there's just other things that are there that are mine. You know, my sewing machine, which he had brought over after he got served, you know.
So he brought you back the sewing machine?
The sewing machine. He didn't bring me the plug, so I have no use for it right now. But he just brought the sewing machine over after he got served. But he told my son in April, tell your mother that I sold her things to pay the bills. And I couldn't understand that. I couldn't even understand why he would tell a little 10-year-old that. You know, he has not gotten a hold of me, you know, and he won't talk to me. You know, I've tried talking with him. We had a great relationship, me, him, and my mother. Anytime there was problems with them, you know, I was there. I was the mediator.
Okay, Mr. Gomez.
Well, first of all, the reason why I didn't talk to her, she had an unlisted telephone number, so I couldn't get it. And she wouldn't give me the number, so I couldn't do that. And the only thing that I feel I'm guilty of is loving her mother. I love my Carmen tremendously. She loved me 10 times more than I loved her.
It says here in the papers that you lent her money to start a business.
Yes, I did.
Some kind of beauty?
It was a facial business. She wanted, see, as far as money is concerned, I had no problem with that, especially with her. When after a year that I met her, her mother died in Malta. She had no way to get there. So it cost me about $2,000. I sent her over there because she was heartbroken. I mean, just here's her mother. She loved her mother dearly, and she had no way to get there.
So you gave her the money to go?
I gave her the money. I didn't ask for it back.
Okay.
And then when she came back, she asked me that, I told her to come back and we'll live together, and she asked me if I could help her start a business. I said, what's it going to be? So she told me. I said, fine. So I went up to, I borrowed the money from our savings. I said to her, we were going to get married. So I said, well, I'd like for you to pay it back. And I was also paying into it, paying 3 times more than she was in a month. And I said, because it's for our retirement. And she said, it's fine. This is all it's going to be for. That's why I wanted her to pay back while we could.
Was she working at the time, too?
She was doing, yes, a little bit. She was working somewhat. I never kept track of what she made or anything like that.
Okay. So
I have a log that says that she was paying me, too. She's paying, you know, every month.
Towards the equipment?
For the equipment.
And you ultimately sold the equipment according to your papers at a loss?
Which was, yes. When you sell things out of a garage, they don't give you anything for it from that on.
So how much did you lose dollar-wise?
How much did I lose? About $3,000 or something.
That's what it said here, that the equipment was $6,000, you'd paid about $3,000 off. You have any reason to doubt that?
No, we didn't mess with it with my mother's equipment. We know that he had signed for it, but she was paying him every month.
Okay. And it also says here, Mr. Gomez, that you and the plaintiff and another brother split the cost for the funeral expenses. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Is that true? You know, technically, by law, Mr. Gomez has no responsibility to contribute to those funeral expenses. You know that. I assume he did it because he loved your mother.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He never loved my mother. She was miserable because of his daughter. Okay? You didn't bring that fact up, and I'm tired of this bullshit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Gomez was engaged to marry Reyes' mother, Carmen. They both loved her deeply, but are now in court fighting over who gets Carmen's personal mementos.
What I'm trying to tell you is, from his answer, it doesn't sound as if he's a bad guy. Would you agree with that, too?
I have an opinion, but I don't know if it counts. It's just that even though he put in his share into the business with my mom, she has done her part. Contribution towards the home that they lived in, contribution towards the business she built.
Well, just a second. What he's saying is he took out a loan for the equipment.
Yes, I understand that,
And
but
that
the loan came from her too.
I know, but so much of it hadn't been paid back that he's now responsible.
We haven't
for...
seen that. We don't know what that is.
I believe that that's true, sir. I believe that that's true. It's my job to determine whether somebody is a credible witness. Yes, sir.
One more question I have. If he would have, many times as I try to meet with him, breakfast, meetings and whatever, if he would have just brought out the paperwork, I didn't want him to go alone on this. The same way I accepted him to help me in the funeral, the same way I accepted his beliefs, what my mom wanted for her funeral. The same thing, I did everything for the picture when he took it out of my house on the evening when we had family in my house.
From my mother.
That is the only picture I had in front of the flowers to show the people that who she was. He had to take it the same night. It's just, and I was nice, I let him go with it. I mean, there was
You mean this was his photo? Just a second. This was his photograph of your mother.
This is mine.
Just a second. This was his photograph of your mother.
Yes, but it's our frame.
You weren't interested in the frame. You were interested
Actually,
in the photograph.
we are, Your Honor. We are. That's a momentum that's been going on through our family.
He'll give you back the frame if it's your frame. What you were upset about, what your brother says you were upset about, was the photograph. So you had the photograph
It's
displayed.
the way he did it, Your Honor.
Listen to me.
In front of all my family.
You had the
Grabbed it by the hand and walked out like no respect. Didn't even come to ask me.
Let me tell you something, sir.
Don't you think I hurt too?
When? Well, I do. I do. I think that you all have to understand that when somebody dies, everybody feels sad. I thought about this a lot over the last 20 years, you know, whenever I've had family, friends, and in my own life. Losing somebody that you love very much, especially when they're very young. Parent, a mate. It's much, anger is a much easier emotion to deal with than pain. I want you to think about that for a minute. It's much easier when somebody dies to be angry at somebody else than to get in touch with your own feeling and feel the pain and the loss, which is why after somebody dies, it's so often in families, they fight with each other over stupid things, a pair of shoes, a dress, because it's much easier when you, especially if your mom was 52 years old, and she died totally unexpectedly, to be angry. You know, why did this happen? So you get angry at somebody. I think you look like lovely people. I think he's a lovely man who took on a responsibility even when he didn't have to. He clearly loved your mother, and he made her happy. He made her, I mean, they were going to get married, so he made her happy. So are you prepared to give them back the things that they want?
Yes, what the little motorcycles you can buy.
No, I have a
if
list
that's
here.
what's happened,
I
then
want all
they
my
can
mother's
have that.
things.
Just a second. Well, let me have this. I'm not sure
I want
whether
everything
you're...
she went in with. I mean, in the beginning, you know, I abide by his wishes. We all did. He said, give me a couple months. I don't want to part with your mother's things. We abide by it.
No, listen to me.
He wanted half of my mother's ashes, which is immoral.
Listen to me. You lived with her for 4 years?
Yes, I did.
No.
How long?
Approximately 4 years.
How long?
Lived together?
Yes.
A little over 2.5 years.
Okay, and you had a home together. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
You have things in your like kitchen, toaster oven, and a dinette set. Why would you think a white hutch from the dining room? Why
That hutch was my son's. And I feel that...
How could a hutch be your son's?
No, it was a desk. It was a brown desk with what it's called a hutch.
Yeah.
And my brother is a painter. He went over there. He made it look nice for her in her kitchen. He painted it white.
When was this?
This was just before she passed away.
No, he didn't go to her house. That was their home.
I went to her house to paint it.
Not her home, their home.
I see, I understand.
Yeah, in the
their
garage.
home. They lived together. They had a home together. They were engaged. They were planning to be married.
Yes.
Stop with the nonsense, folks.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I loved her very, very much. And it's just...
What are you going to do when another woman comes into your life, Jose? You're going to leave the slippers
I'm
and the
not thinking
pantyhose on
about
the
that.
floor like you have been? That is stupid.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Rago says her late mother Carmen wanted her to keep her personal possessions after she died. But Carmen's fiancé, Jose Gomez, says he should get to keep some of the items.
You want to take out furniture from a home that your mother set up with this man? That's outrageous. He's not a bad person. He cared for her.
We didn't say he
I
was,
can
right?
understand you saying to me, I want the things that belong to my mother, the photographs, my mother had perfume, you have here. She had knickknacks in the hutch. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is, sir? The
No.
knickknacks that are in the hutch?
No.
What knickknacks that are in the hutch?
China's, a little plate, anything from that belongs to my mom. What's
It's
the
not
reason
worth
for him to
anything.
keep
It's
it?
just, it's you know, it's hers.
The
We
way
got
I
it for
feel,
her.
he's going to go on with his life. He has no reason. He remembered my mom for 7 months so far. He has to continue with his life and go on with a new future.
Sir,
but we
this
have
is-
to remember what we have by holding what we got.
Fine. Sir, I'm going to tell you what I expect you to turn over to them. I've looked at this list. There are pictures and frames of grandchildren and family. I expect you to turn that over to them. Okay?
Yes.
You have those things?
I have the pictures, the frames that I paid for the frames, so I took them out of the frames.
You paid
I
for
have
the green
pic-
frames that are in the bedroom?
Yes.
I bought those with my
we
mother
had-
in
we had-
Target.
There was a lot
Listen,
of green,
the rainbow.
frames.
Listen
I'm
to
talking
me.
about the rainbow
Listen to me.
pictures.
The frames are
It's
not
only
important.
$3.
The frames are not important.
They're not
the
important.
pictures
The
are
pictures.
important.
That's
You
right,
want
I
to
have
give
the
them back in the frames, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay? So that you're going to give back. Now, do you have this motorcycle model?
I will give that back. I have it. The only reason why I'm keeping it is I thought that her mother gave it to me because at one time that on Christmas, we had a little spat. So she said, don't buy anything for Christmas. And knowing her, she knew that I would not accept anything from her. So she said, I've got this motorcycle, it's Johnny's, and I'm going to leave it here. And I was under the impression that it's the only way she knew I was going to keep it. It was there.
Okay.
Now, if
You're
it's
gonna-
not for me, then I do not want it.
Fine.
period.
Then I want you to give it back to them. That's
Wonderful.
Listen. These knickknacks in the hutch that she's talking about, you know, these little plates and dishes and things that she brought into your relationship. Do you know what they are?
I don't really. It's been a while, and I'm not sure as to which. You know, what
I
they're
want you to
talking
look
about.
through it.
I'll look through 'em.
Whatever you see there, pack up nicely that belongs, that she had, that were from her history. I
Right.
want you to pack up and see to it that her children get. Will
We'll
you do that?
I'll do that.
Did you bring any of these things with you to court, sir?
Yes, I did. I brought.
Okay. Did you bring the clothes and other things?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and they're all here.
Yes, I left
Okay.
them there someplace.
And you're prepared to
I
take
brought
them?
back more pictures too.
And you're prepared to take
Large
them today?
plots of that.
Okay. So this is not a very difficult case. It's going to give you back those things.
What about my dish set? I want my dish set and my plug to my sewing machine.
It's in the box.
The dish set is?
I didn't know it was there. I saw it and I said, "Oh, this goes to the sewing machine."
Miss Rigos, you still sound very angry.
I am.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think that you should be angry. I really don't. I mean, your mother stayed in this relationship. You may have thought it wasn't perfect. I don't know whether you thought it was perfect or it wasn't perfect. But she was a 52-year-old young lady who may have visited with her children, but her day-to-day life was with this man.
And that's what she said.
For better, for worse, they were a couple. And you should be happy that your mother, from the time she was 48 or whatever she was, I don't know, was she divorced from your father or did he pass away?
Divorced a long time
21
ago.
years.
21 years divorced until she met him?
Yes.
Well, there was
He
others.
sounds like a nice guy to me.
I have no.
So I don't know, Miss Rigos, why you're angry, unless it's what I'm thinking and what I said to you before, that anger is a much easier emotion to deal with than pain. She didn't have a love in her life for 21 years. She met this man. They started a business together. They planned a wedding. Well, he helped her with a business. They planned a wedding. They planned to get married. So that your mother must have felt at least she had a companion of her own. Stop being so angry. Get in touch with your own feelings. If it's sadness, get over it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You return the things to her, sir?
Yes, I will.
You sound like a nice guy. She wants the picture frame.
The only thing I would like to keep this, and as I told Mario that this is what she gave me. She had this on the back of it. She says, "I gave you this picture."
Who?
You can keep the picture.
Carmen.
Oh, let me see
She
that.
gave me when she.
Just a minute. You mean Carmen gave you that picture in the frame?
She gave me this whole thing, and the way I see
Let me
it, I don't
see.
see it as a
Let me
frame.
see.
I see it just as
Just
a
a
picture,
second.
whatever. She had that on there, and she just
a
says, "I gave
second.
you that."
Just a minute.
It was stuck in the back of here.
Just a second.
That's the way she writes. She's
Am
only
I
had
correct?
a 5th grade education. That's
Am
all.
I correct? He didn't bring over this picture when your mother died. He brought over the whole thing, the picture with the frame.
Yes.
He
For the
brought that
funeral?
over.
Yes, he brought it
He
over.
That's
brought
what I
that
took
over.
over there, exactly.
That's his, not yours.
That's mine.
That's his. And you keep it, sir.
Thank you very much.
You got to get over your anger.
This means very,
Pretty lady.
very, very much to me.
Pretty lady. Okay.
Thank you.
Give me back their things. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. See you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I have two little blouses that really remind me of her, and I have a pair of shoes that slippers that she took off, and I never touched them yet. I just leave them there. I loved her very, very much. And it's just.
What are you going to do when another woman comes into your life, Jose? You're going to leave the slippers and the
not thinking
pantyhose on the
about that.
floor like you have been? That is stupid.
What if I die before a woman comes to my life?
You are so stupid.
Can I see the note?
I want to see that note my mother left you.
Where's
Maria, you got nothing to do with this. I saw you twice in the 4 years, okay?
Where's
So
the
stay
note?
out
I
of
wanna see
it.
the note for this.
Stay out of it.
Why did you have never showed me the note when I told you about this?
That's right, I'm angry. I'm f***ing angry. Yes, I am angry. He never loved my mother. She was miserable because of his daughter. Okay? You didn't bring that fact up, and I'm tired of this. You had the f***ing nerve to bring your daughter to my f***ing mother's funeral. That was uncalled for. Uncalled for, Jose.
Is suing her former boyfriend, Tony Glenn, because he beat her up during an argument by slamming her head on the pavement. Tony claims Gail was harassing him and his new wife, and he says he hit her in self-defense after she maced him.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 351 on the calendar in the matter of Hutchinson versus Glenn. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
You're suing the defendant because you say he assaulted you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And injured you badly.
Yes.
So let me try to put this in perspective. You and the defendant dated in 1992.
Yes.
And not since.
Right.
And this assault happened in what year?
1997.
Just this past summer, in
Yes.
July. What were you doing near him in 1997?
Well, first of all, I wasn't near him. I was walking home from the store, and he came up behind me and viciously attacked me. Your Honor, I have pictures of my injuries.
You mean for no reason out of the blue, he just came up behind you and viciously attacked you?
Yes.
So tell me how that happened.
Well, first of all, we wasn't exactly friends after we broke up. It was a lot of animosity between us, and he told some people that he was going to beat me down like a dog on the street when he saw me, and that's what he did.
And now I'll take a look at your pictures. You were arrested for this assault, sir. Is that correct?
Yes, I was, ma'am.
And according to your papers, you had a trial already.
That's true.
Correct?
Yes.
And the jury found you not guilty.
That's correct. Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That doesn't prevent you from suing here. You understand that? That's why you're here. Now, you want to tell me your version of this incident, sir?
Yes, ma'am. We broke up, and she just keeps harassing me.
How?
Just keeps coming back, harassing me.
How? I know you keep saying that. How does she harass you?
Over the phone, harassing me. She vandalized my car. I have restraining orders.
How many restraining orders do you have against her?
Well, I have this one restraining order against her.
This was in 1995.
Correct. She doesn't even think that it's enforceable. She just keeps coming back to me.
Well, when you say keeps coming back to you, she comes back to you by
Harass.
phone?
Yeah, by phone.
You say harass. Tell me exactly what she was doing, sir.
Well, she'd come back, she'd call me on the phone all the time, harassing me, cursing me out, cursing whoever answers the phone out, you know, if it's a female or whatever.
Stop shaking your head. It's
She
not impressing me.
She has like a fatal attraction. I don't know. I can't shake her.
So tell me what happened on this particular day, sir.
The incident, the day?
Yes.
The day of the incident, she had been harassing me all day long, harassing my wife.
You're married now?
Right. I got married, and she had been harassing my wife all day.
How?
Just calling.
You mean on the phone? Well, I don't want you to use the word harassing anymore. I want you to say what she'd been doing. She had been calling on the phone?
Calling, harassing me, threatening. Threatening me, you know, threatening my wife with bodily injury, threatening her with if she sees her come outside, she's going to do some damage to her. You know, threatening me with I'm going to get my boyfriend to, you know, beat you up and all this. And so
what did you do?
So I started to call the police, you know. I called the police all day long, you know. Kept calling the police, they never showed up. If you